Indeed.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Honey Badger Arcade. My name is Brian. I'm here with John, the problematic white guy, and this is the Week in Culture, where we're going to be talking to you guys about the latest going on in our culture and what that really means for us as a civilization. So there is no such thing as petty cultural things. Everything matters. Stories matter, and they basically define us, and we have to, you know, operate within that paradigm and do so appropriately. So, welcome to the show, John. How are you?
Oh, awesome as always. I had a little bit of a scare earlier this week. Had an electrical fire happen on Monday night here in
Oh,
my room. I was running a space heater, and I think it's evidently on its last legs. So it's starting to draw too much heat, and
mm-hmm.
I was on an ungrounded line, and so I have now changed everything up. I had to get a new power cable.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah, found a grounded line downstairs and just ran a cable up into the room so that I can actually make sure that everything is completely grounded. And I had to get like a new power supply or surge protector unit because that kind of got a little bit effed up. But thankfully, the damage was minimal, and I caught the fire literally as it happened because yeah, it was. It seemed there was like a train because I live next to the tracks, not too far away. I thought it might have just kind of been like too much diesel or something, but it just was
Yeah.
hanging throughout the day. And then I eventually was like, no, wait, this is probably something else. And right as I said that, I saw my lights flicker, my LED light strip, and some smoke erupt. And I went and I was like, oh shit. And as soon as I said that, I saw a burst of flame kick up underneath my bed. And I was lucky enough to have a glass bottle right there. So I just
Mm.
just smashed the connection where the flame was starting to erupt, and then disconnected everything, and managed to not mince any streams though, because I at least had some backup
That's good.
equipment stuff.
Didn't
So
set any fires.
well, I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't set any fires, but one did break out. But but
I
thankfully,
mean, I guess like bigger fires. Yeah.
right. Yeah. My first concern, of course, was my sister's house, but yeah, managed to get it out in like within 20 seconds. So could have been a lot worse. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good. Well, I'm glad that you're alive and not covered in burns like Freddy Krueger, and despite it being October and everything. But
Right.
we got lots to get into today. So first off, I just want to give a shout out to the people who are here right now. Particularly, I'll start with the vertical chat since the vertical gets all of the new faces. So hello, Deepthi Varghese. Welcome to the stream. We're going to be talking about cultural things, so I hope that that's okay with you. That's like gaming for the most part, but there's some sort of like other things related to that, animation, film, etc. Master Goa, welcome. A Norwegian, welcome. Robert Johnson, welcome, everybody. Okay, so we're going to get into the stories. Let's start by talking a little bit about Sweet Baby Inc. again, although we haven't really talked about them much in a little while.
Yeah.
But there apparently has been some confusion about what has happened to their website. So Sweet Baby Inc., in case you guys don't know, and I'll just repeat myself, I guess, a Montreal-based narrative design and consulting firm, often criticized for promoting their DEI elements in video games unnecessarily. No one asked for it, right? Like God of War Ragnarok, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, Spider-Man 2, etc., saw its official website plunge into extended downtime in April 23rd, 2025, coinciding suspiciously with the release of an investigative video by online commentators, Masters of TDS, and Writing Raven, exposing alleged internal practices that fueled gamer backlash. And we covered that on the show when it initially went down.
Yep.
We thought they were just scrubbing everything or hiding themselves, basically just uh, protecting themselves from scrutiny by gamers and interested parties.
Yeah,
The site,
which oddly
yeah,
enough, I think we were the only ones who mentioned it at the time that it actually did happen, because there was some confusion about all that was mentioned on Smash JT earlier this week when Master of TDS popped on there, because they're like, "Oh no, it's been up since then," and they're like,
yeah.
"No, no." And so yeah, I think we were the only ones who even mentioned it, but we weren't thinking it was anything more than just like they'd done the last time, where they went and just took more, because it used to be a full-blown site with multiple sections, and then it just became just like this pamphlet of a front page with
Yeah.
contact links and whatnot. But
Yeah,
yeah.
it's still, I think it's still the case. Now, I haven't been on the website for a while, so I just opened it before the show, and as you can see, it wants to verify that I'm not a robot.
Hmm.
So they've added Cloudflare protections to the website, and I'm going to go in there and see what, or Cloudflare, sorry,
Yeah.
Cloudflare protections. So we'll see if I get in, and yeah, it's still here, but it's a lot more minimalist. As you can see, they used to have a lot more on the website, and we covered this before.
Oh,
Um,
it's
but now
actually
it
popping
just
up for you today. Because
what?
yesterday, I went there yesterday, and it was still the image that I made for today's thumbnail.
Yeah.
I took that Cloudflare image where it says "You're connected," Cloudflare's
Oh
connected,
yeah.
and the website error. Yeah, yesterday it was not up and running, so they literally just put this up again at some point in the
Hmm.
last 24 hours. So
So yeah,
maybe maybe they're
maybe it's
responding
because I'm
to.
using. What browser do you use?
I was using Brave.
Oh yeah, I use Brave too, so I guess it's not that.
Yeah,
Brave lets me avoid ads a lot on
yeah,
YouTube. It's got like pretty good for that. So maybe the Cloudflare went off, or the like where it thought that you might not be real because you're bypassing a bunch of shit. So
perhaps.
um, but yeah, so anyway, they brought their website back, or at least it's not really down, but they basically like went and retooled some things. And as you can see, they have a more minimalist approach to their design. Before, they used to tell you like everybody that was on the team, everything that they do, why they do it. Now it's a little bit more shaved down, but that doesn't mean any of their ideology has changed at all. So yeah, they still talk about script writing, consultation, authenticity, and sensitivity, which this is like a big red flag. I think they may have to change that because, we a while ago, years ago actually, I covered this rise in a new job in the world of literature. So we're talking about books,
Hmm.
and they were called sensitivity readers. And sensitivity readers would read your book to see if it was, essentially going to um,
Offend anyone?
yeah, to see if it was going to offend anyone and therefore have problematic elements, which means that they were going to therefore suggest that you alter things. And that's been going on in literature, and it's obviously spread to, script writing and screenplays and video games and whatever
Hmm.
else, right?
Yep.
So this is the same thing. When they say sensitivity and authenticity, and it even says here, we approach sensitivity by working with your existing narrative and documentation to bring out its natural authenticity and emotional resonance. We don't look for red flags. We highlight green ones. They're trying to do damage control big time. Um, we know what
Right.
they're about. They're progressives. They're commies. They're gay race communists. They're global homos, and they're just trying to like hide it. And it doesn't really matter because again, no one is going to. Nobody wants any harm done to these people. They just want to know what they're making so they can avoid
Right.
it. So that's it. Although I don't
Right.
know what this usual June thing is. Did we cover this? I may have to look into that
I
game.
don't know, but that is another Kim Bel-Air avatar.
Self-insert game. Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
Weird. She's in everything now.
Yeah.
She's
I,
like
I
she's
hope she
more
feels seen.
omnipresent than fucking when is she gonna come out in Fortnite? That's what I want to know.
Right, right.
But
She's
yeah, go
she's as
ahead.
prolific in game at this point as I don't know, just about a guy who's Nathan Drake, North. What's his first name? Can't say.
Nolan
Anyway,
North.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So
voice
yeah,
actor Nolan North.
yeah. Well, I'm just saying in terms of showing up and being in things. Yeah, like she does it visually. Obviously, he's a voice actor, but yeah,
I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. He's like a Pedro Pascal. She's like that. She's in everything, right?
right,
She's like Michael B. Jordan,
right, right.
Okay. So anyway, but not a big story. I think it was being talked about. There is something else though, and again, this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. But since we're on the topic, Kim Belair made an appearance on it was like a summit of some kind called Game Changers, and she basically confirmed what we already knew. In an hour-long interview, Belair inadvertently revealed several of the company's most revealing practices. So Kim Belair, Sweet Belair, not at all. Kim Belair described Sweet Baby Inc.'s direct involvement in Spider-Man 2 over roughly 3 years, focusing on the storylines for Kraven the Hunter and Harry Osborn. And they claimed or admitted that her team helped shape the narrative beats and character work for Alan Wake 2, which, by the way, I know a guy who loved the first Alan Wake game, and I actually have it. I was thinking about playing it for Spooktober, but I don't know if it qualifies as a horror game. And he was extremely upset that I was pointing out that Sweet Baby Inc. was involved with Alan Wake 2, and he was convinced that there was no way that game could be woke. But I think it was because he was attached to the first game. Right. And the truth is that obviously they did. They altered the focus, from what I understand, in Alan Wake 2, away from Alan Wake because he's a straight white guy, and on some black female cop. And they made that the essentially either a main character, the main character, or a very heightened involvement in the story. So taken together, these remarks contradict the company's long-standing public stance that it only serves as a consulting firm. They also suggest, they also suggest that Sweet Baby's influence extended well beyond advisory guidance into core narrative and creative decisions. Many observers interpreted this portion of the interview as a quiet admission that the studio played a far deeper role in shaping these games than it had previously acknowledged. Furthermore, when asked about the backlash and criticism directed towards Sweet Baby Inc., Belair claimed that no one had ever reached out with questions about the company's work. And the quote from Kim Belair was this: "There are thousands of videos about us, but of those people, no one has written to us to say, hey, can I just ask a couple of questions about how this works?" Which is a lie, because a lot of people involved with Gamergate 2, as you could call it, have actually attempted to reach out to Sweet Baby Inc. and Kim Belair to get a statement. The truth is, Kim Belair won't. These people never talk to you. I don't know if you guys noticed. They just shoot you in public. That's what they do. They don't talk to you. They kill you because they want you to shut up. They want you to agree or else. And that's really what it boils down to, which is why when they get into their little echo chamber spaces like this podcast, Kim Belair will just go on and on about how ineffectual they are. Oh, we're just like 10 little people, and Elon Musk is picking on us. He's a bully because he said that we should our company should go under. Why would you do that? He's a billionaire. It's so mean. And at the same time saying we don't do anything. We're nobody. I mean, pretending to be weak when you're strong is what these people do, and we can see right through it. So
this is interesting. I'm going to have to do a little bit more research into it. So Kim Belair is a contributing writer to GameIndustry.biz, and it seems that this game changers thing, it existed there first. So maybe this thing that she's doing is even more echo chambery than we had even first thought. I'll have to do a little bit more research into it, because I know that I'd heard Game Changers before. I was like, is that part of the IGDA Association, the International Game Developers Association, obviously, through Women in Games, something like that. But first thing that hits on it is GameIndustry.biz from back in 2020. And 2021. So maybe this Hunaga or whatever, it's got some kind of Indian name that they've got on that podcast. But perhaps they've rebranded it and farmed it out to someone else so they can have the appearance of being, a more, grassroots thing than probably having some kind of weird corporate homogenous connection.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I'll look into that, and I'll keep you informed. But yeah, it was. I thankfully did not watch the entire 4-hour broadcast. I just watched the 1-hour thing that Master TDS and Writing Raven clipped from it. Yeah, it was quite something, you know, and it's really been interesting too with some of the things that Sweet Baby Inc. have tried to say. Because I went to college for game design, specifically, and that's where I first heard about narrative design. And so when I've been here in this online space for over a year now, and the first thing I came in to do was point out to everybody exactly what narrative design was about because I had firsthand account knowledge, and that's what they were basically telling me. Oh, this is what you should go into the game industry for, and until I was effectively told there's no way they're going to hire a white dude in narrative design. So yeah, everything that has been said about it, she confirmed during that interview, which is everything that we said because it's pretty straightforward. You know, there's a difference between storytelling and narrative design. Storytelling is, the hero's journey and whatnot. Very very basic kind of concepts.
Archetypes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But narrative design is, oh, cultural influences. How do we get this kind of lifestyle segment into the game? Blah blah. It's a whole bunch of other stupid horseshit that is completely corporate mindset. And yeah, it is been one of the most detrimental things to happen in the game industry over the course of the last 20 years.
Yeah. And when in this, there's an hour-long podcast, I guess you could say, or summit or whatever, an interview with Kim Belair at this Game Changers thing. And we're obviously not gonna watch the whole thing, but I can maybe, if you guys are interested, I could do a reaction to it another time or something. But they asked the interviewer asks her like what she thinks about the people who are criticizing the work of Sweet Baby Inc. And she says, when people fight against wokeness, what they're really doing is fighting against progressiveness and, in a way, fighting against themselves.
Right.
So this is what they believe. And remember, when I've been saying this for a long time about these people, okay? This is where these people just believe that they're right. That's it. Like, they believe they have the right opinions, and they're the good people, and they believe the good things. Therefore, if you disagree with them, you don't believe in that. You believe in the bad things.
Right.
And I know it sounds childish, but that's the truth. That's
Right.
what they think. So when they say you're fighting progressives, don't you like progress? Don't you think it's good? What? You must be evil. And
Right.
that's how they justify killing you, because
Indeed.
you're evil,
Yeah.
because
Well,
you don't agree with them.
even her statement is completely just on the surface. It means absolutely nothing. Like, when you say when you call us woke, what you're actually going against is progressivism. Yeah, well, when you call people Nazis, that you're actually going against is just traditionalism, and people just wanting to just have things as they are. Yeah, we call progressive people woke. Deal with it. That's it. We know what it means, so you're not really making any kind of insightful viewpoint there. But to sit here and say that you're actually undermining yourself in the process, I think that is a little bit jaded from her own echo chamber haze that she can't ever see beyond.
Well, she can't see other people as having a point, and
Right.
that's an issue of pride and vainglory. But because they again, they're certain that they're smarter and they are more educated and they're better and they're just better people.
Right.
So
Arrogant
anyway,
ignorance.
yeah. So I guess, this is all, like I was gonna say in closing, we knew this. We knew they were doing this. We called it out in the beginning. They tried to pretend like that wasn't happening, and then they, eventually, when they relaxed a little bit, they admitted that yes, actually we are doing everything that you think we're doing. We just hope that you don't notice. And we did, because we pay attention. And that's all you gotta do. So
it's not happening. Okay, it is happening. But it's a good
happening,
thing.
and it's a good thing, right? That it's happening.
Yes.
All right. So I got a couple of, my camera's a little bit weird here. I got a couple of chats I want to read out, and then we're going to move on to the next story, which is related. It's going to dovetail nicely from this, because obviously Sweet Baby Inc. isn't the final boss of wokeness in your media and culture. They're just like one of basically the minions. Okay, so let me see. Master Goa says PCs are just space heaters that play games, referring to your situation. Mr. 0303 says they hid the games because people were using them as a boycott list, which we still are. Now there's a whole website. If you guys know that Brutus put out DEIdetected.com, and he basically goes through every game and he gives it a level 1, 2, or 3 rating for how woke it is. Usually, like, so anyway, yeah. So we're not slowing down.
No.
Norwegian says we can't collect data from you. That means you must not be human. Idaho Mike says greetings and salutations. Hello, Idaho Mike. Let's see what else. Mr. 0303 says being a culture junkie is not good for you. No, I agree. It's like you gotta, well, basically being a culture junkie means that you just want the new thing because it's the new thing, and you have to be able to say no to that. So Gabriel Phelan Lucas says Alan Wake counts its horror aesthetics and themes, although it's billed as a psychological action thriller. All right. Master Goa says, if I remember correct, the black girl in Alan Wake 2 was race swapped. I think they showed her, and originally she was white. Yeah, I heard that too, but I never played the first one. So, but yeah, I heard in the second game they race swapped her, and I guess she was a small enough character in the first game that they didn't think anyone would notice. Right. And they made her black, and then they made her more of a bigger character. And the thing is, they already had like the game Control. I think there was a game called Control, which was in the same universe as Alan Wake. And there was you played a woman throughout the whole game. And I played that. I liked Control. It was a lot of fun to play. I wasn't thinking of it in a DEI sense. You know, I just thought of it like any other game where you played a female main character, right? Right. And but as usual, it's not enough. That character wasn't enough. They had to do more. So let's see. Gabriel says, I beat Alan Wake 2 earlier this year. I thought the gameplay was boring and nothing like the original. Well, that's a shame. Mr. 0303 says, progress towards what? Communism. Global communism. That's what. That's all it is. They want to create a new kind of social human being. And that's why they go after men and masculinity, because women are already halfway there. And if you separate them from men, they're even closer to that, which they have done or they're doing, and they just got to get men. So that's why they promote people like Pedro Pascal as the new man, because they want a man that will essentially submit to that. And masculinity usually resists that. So,
indeed.
Let's see. Robert Johnson says, Alan Wake 2, an X-Files episode with jump scares, yawn. I don't even know what the plot is, honestly. I played Control and I didn't even know what it was about, but I had fun in the game, so. All right, anyway, thank you. Oh yeah, Norwegian says, don't forget the ginger genocide committed by the woke. Yeah, was the cop a ginger? Because that would explain everything. Within the first game?
She was a Norwegian blonde.
She was blonde?
Yeah, she was very Scandinavian initially. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Kidding me? All right. Anyway, so we're gonna move on to the next story. We're gonna talk a little bit about the Geena Davis Institute. So we didn't cover this last time because
no.
Yeah. So someone named I'm forgetting her name, but there's a YouTube channel with an Indian woman from England that made a video about the Geena Davis Institute. And in it, she made the claim that this was like the reason for all of the wokeness in our media. And I respectfully disagree. It's a reason.
Right. This is
the reason
way
is much
down
older.
on the list. Right.
Yeah. The reason is much older than this. So Geena Davis, if you guys don't know, is an actress that, well, I don't know if she does acting anymore. I think she's just an activist now. But when she was acting, she was like in Beetlejuice and The Fly, and what else was she in? Long Kiss Goodnight, Thelma and Louise.
Yeah.
You know, kind of a vocal feminist, okay? And in the 90s, I believe, she was, losing her like ability to get roles because she was getting older, and this is just the nature of Hollywood, like in the 2000s, right?
Right.
She did Cutthroat Island, was a giant box office bomb, even though I enjoyed it as a pirate movie. But anyway, so she wanted to change Hollywood, and so she started the Geena Davis Institute. So what is it? So I'll just say who we are, okay? For 20 years, the Geena Davis Institute has been at the forefront of championing equitable representation in media. Equitable. Our commitment to building a better world extends beyond gender, encompassing the interconnected identities often marginalized in the media. I can take apart every sentence, okay? First, let's talk about the first sentence. For 20 years, the Geena Davis Institute has been at the forefront of championing equitable representation in media. So notice they're saying equitable. Now, first of all, there is no reason why anything needs to be equal. Like there's no reason why it needs to be, okay? But she's taking it much further. She's saying equitable. She's looking for equality regardless of qualifications, of merit, or even of common sense.
Yeah, well, equity is vengeance, man. You know, it's like
equity is revenge. Yes.
Yep.
And the thing is, if the equity is actually lopsided in the opposite direction, it still counts as equity. It's okay. Like they don't have to correct that, right? And overcorrection is okay, and in their eyes. And I'm not saying that making things equitable is a correction, because I don't think that there's anything wrong. Like, but this is how you end up with shows that take place in like medieval Western Europe that are full of like, you know, all kinds of like Asians and blacks and Latinos and stuff, because they're just filling it with shit. Or you get like, you know, all kinds of the history just getting rewritten, you know, by these people. And that's what they want to do. They destroy history by rewriting it. And it doesn't matter if it's like meant to be historical or not. It doesn't matter if it's based in fiction. Like even fictions are based in something, right? They're based in something inspired by something real. Because like nobody, well, as the saying goes, there's nothing new under the sun. So like everything comes from something, right? So that's the first thing I want to say is that first sentence, that's what it's saying. The second one, our commitment to building a better world extends beyond gender, encompassing the interconnected identities often marginalized in the media. So notice that the only identity they're talking about in that sentence is gender. No mention of race, sexual orientation, you know, ethnicity, nationality, religion. It's just gender. Why? Because when they use the word gender, they're not using the word sex. So biological sex is real. Gender is psychobabble. It's made up. It's social science. Like the guy who coined, the people who coined the term were like essentially pedophiles that were looking to like, you know, like John
try to
Money,
give themselves a scapegoat, for
like John Money, right?
Yeah.
Or Kinsey, forget his first name, Alfred Kinsey. These guys were, you know, psychologists that essentially wanted to sexualize children, and they started it by essentially broadening the description or the definitions of biological sex and trying to eliminate it completely, right? So when they use the word gender, that's not an accident. These people are very thoughtful in what they say. They're not using it as a synonym for sex. And I suggest, and you can do whatever you want, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I suggest if you guys can, if someone is talking to I would ask that you guys don't use the word gender at all and only use the word biological sex or just sex to refer to men and women, because that's all there is, okay? It's a binary. And when somebody tells you it's not a binary, they're still creating a binary, because you have the binary and the non-binary, and that's a binary. So it's still a binary, but that's another thing, is that, in my opinion, well, there's just no evidence that there is such a thing as gender, okay? There's just sex. And people who tend to gravitate towards gender identity, these kind of gender politics, are usually people who have abuse in their history, and they have some trauma that they're reckoning with. And what normalizing the concept of gender does, it is actually normalizes the trauma, so that, you know, other people who have trauma and then they come out of it thinking that they're like non-binary or something, you're justifying the trauma, which basically creates opportunities for more predators. Remember when I said this was made up by pedophiles? That's what I'm saying. Pedophiles mess with kids. Those kids grow up sexually confused, and then they tell them, actually, you're just non-binary. And then they live as non-binary. And then we forgive all, essentially, it forgives all the trauma. It rationalizes it. That's what they're doing. Okay.
And so, there it is. Just I think it's like what the within the top 10 listings on a Google search is connected to the United Nations.
Yeah.
Yeah. UN Women. Geena Davis's
UN Women.
Kelly Presley. Yep. UN
But
Women.
again, they get a lot of money from the government. They get a lot of government money, the UN Women, as well as these groups. When I looked into how the Geena Davis Institute gets funded, and it's all like the claim is it's all charitable, but a lot of non-government organizations, NGOs, get a lot of government money. Yep. So they're literally not the thing that they claim.
Oh, and the Rockefeller Foundation. All right. Yeah. Well, it's completely completely corporatist-driven globalism.
There's like stuff Obama's funded, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So most of this globalist Marxist stuff either gets its money directly from the WF or the United Nations or the Rockefeller Foundation, more often than not.
Yeah.
Come to know.
Yeah. So anyway, okay. Through our groundbreaking research, we understand life-changing impact of representation and have devoted ourselves to pioneering new pathways within entertainment and media. So again, this sentence, life-changing impact of representation, is a bold claim. Also, groundbreaking research is pretty bold as well. Because most of the time I got a research paper here.
Right.
So I went to in the website, you can download PDFs for the studies they have done. Okay. And this one is on gamers. Notice again in the photo, you have two non-white girls playing video games excitedly. It's obviously stock photography. And that's like, you can just see this is the goal, right? This came out in March.
Yep.
And it's Ready Players All. What do gamers have to say about character diversity? What do gamers have to say? Okay. Today's video game audience is diverse, but the character composition of the most popular game titles does not reflect that reality. We were curious to learn, are gamers concerned about this disparity? In June of 2024, the Geena Davis Institute worked with Nielsen through its Data for Good initiative to assess player sentiment on this topic via Nielsen's weekly video game tracking of US and UK gamers. The data in this report were collected from June 10th through 15th, 2024. So like 5 days. All right. So John, do you mind, can you do me a favor while I'm reading through this and look up the Data for Good initiative? Because I'm curious where Nielsen, where they're getting this from, because this is important. Okay. And here we have a Muslim and I assume a Jew, I don't know, playing video games together, because that's what video games would do. Bridge the gap. I only say he's a Jew because he's got the Ben Shapiro haircut. I don't really know. But a woman in a hijab playing video games, like her man would let her do this. Anyway, so here are the key findings. And again, this is look at this study. It's literally just 6 pages with humongous photos. So it doesn't. There's like not a lot here, and they're using this as data to confirm, well, whatever it is they want to confirm. And if there's one thing I know about academics, especially academic leftists, but I repeat myself, is that they always find studies that essentially support their claims.
Yeah.
Because that's what they set out to do.
Right. And the fact that they use the term impact, that's another one of their buzzwords that is loaded with a whole bunch of bullshit. Because, that's where it gets into, make sure that you have sensitivity to indigenous people. And you want to make sure that you're promoting climate change initiatives and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Typed in Data for Good is a foundation. Got it a .org here, and then they got, of course, a Canadian version of the website.
Oh boy, that's a red flag.
Right. So yeah,
it's a red and white leaf flag with a leaf on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, let me pop it here and see what we got on the main.
Canada, even a real place.
Right. Oh, and their front page image it looks, the WEF's circle logo that they have. Yeah, that's basically what this thing looks like.
The Globo Homo symbol. Yeah.
Yeah. Data for
Okay.
Good has developed a neutral platform infrastructure that offers the possibility to connect citizens, companies, and public organizations in a digital ecosystem where data can be shared under the control of the individual citizen, enabling new digital services for citizens and value creating new insights. What the fuck does that even mean? That's all one sentence, by the way.
Oh my goodness, that's a run-on sentence. Holy run-on sentence, Batman.
Oh wow.
All right, so key findings. And I'll also notice this: gaming lesbians. Like they're like, how do we know they're lesbians? Well, they got two girls with random piercings, covered in tattoos, and they're playing video games awfully close together. So we're supposed to see that as representation. This is what they think lesbians look like, by the way. They're just like, yeah,
Right.
lesbians. That's what it look like, right? Those are lesbians.
Usually one of them has a black guy and there's a U-Haul in the background.
Right. Yeah, exactly. This one is fiction though. There's like a present father. I don't get that. Anyway, so key findings: the majority of gamers want to see more inclusive video game character representation. 64% of US and UK respondents agree with the statement, I am more likely to play a video game if it has characters who are more diverse than the characters I usually see in video games. Only 12% disagree. The rest neither agrees nor disagrees. 62% of respondents agree with the statement, I am more likely to play a video game if the playable characters are diverse. Only 9% disagree. The rest neither agree nor disagrees. 63% of respondents agree with the statement, I am more likely to play a video game if it includes women as playable characters. Among men, it is 60%, and among women, it is 68%. Among gamers aged 18 to 24, 72% agree with the statement, I am more likely to play a video game if it includes women as playable characters. Video games make up 19% of the monthly entertainment spending for this age group, 18 to 24. Okay. Almost half of respondents agree with the statement, I am less likely to play a video game that uses gender stereotypes, 47%, less than half though. This finding suggests that many gamers are dissatisfied with common gender stereotypes in games. So let's try to break these down. Obviously, I don't know if there are any actual we may have to like look up the here we go end notes. Maybe they'll have the Woman Gamers Report. Let me search for that. These are citations we're looking at. So they do have citations, although I don't tend to trust these. Maybe I'll get like more into these a little bit later.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a little bit deeper digging into this website. I think they've got, but they do have their support network members. Yeah, Forsic Ring and Pension, Ebox, Fluid, Bird and Bird, Partizia, Raid. Let's see, PPCN, which is Making Impact and Change. EdTech Denmark, and Novartis. So those are some names. Yeah. There's definitely, it looks like there's more that lies beneath the surface on this, just like so many other things. Oh, and it's out of Denmark. Good.
Yeah, of course. Oh my God, the fucking Swedes too. Jesus, gotta do something about that place. But exterminatus. No, but so okay, let's look at these. This is the thing about when they put these like findings out. Okay, it's always manipulative. So when they say 64% of US and UK respondents agree with the statement, I am more likely to play video games if it has characters who are more diverse than the characters I usually see in video games. First of all, that's a really weirdly worded question. Most people are probably going to say sure, like they don't really care.
Right.
But there's often these questionnaires are again, I have to look at the study itself. I don't know if I can find it for you guys today, but they're normally phrased in a way where they ask you the question and they'll say it'll be like neutral, somewhat agree, agree, strongly agree, and then somewhat disagree, strongly disagree. And what they'll do is they'll take anything that is like, on one side, no matter what the degree of that is, and then they'll count that if it works in their favor for what they want. Right. And then if it's in the opposite direction, they'll downplay that. Maybe they'll only pick out the strongly disagrees so that it makes the their 64% number look bigger than it is. Okay.
Right. Well, earlier this week they put out the numbers for gamers. Currently now the average age of the gamer is 41, and they're saying that it's 52% men and 48% women in games. But the way they arrived at 48% of women is they include mobile games. And
yeah, of course they do. Yeah, they
right.
Candy Crush and shit. Like
Candy Crush and Bejeweled do not make you a gamer.
Yeah, and fucking Stardew Valley.
Right.
I mean, like, I'm not saying those aren't games, but come on,
right.
Like, there's a
there's a vast difference between being a gamer and playing games. Just like there's a huge difference between walking across the street and being a pedestrian.
Yes. So I'll ask you guys: are you more likely to play video games if it has characters who are more diverse than the characters you usually see in video games? Now, okay, then it comes down to like, what do you mean by diverse? Because like, if when I play Space Marine 2. I don't know people who look like that. So those guys are diverse, in my opinion. Or when I play, any games where you can play robots or monsters or aliens, like those guys are diverse. Fantasy creatures. Yeah, I don't run into a lot of, elves and dwarves in my community. Those guys are probably the least represented, in fact, right? And so like these are tricky questions because this is escapism, right? So anyway, so like, and so I'll ask you guys, I mean, is that true? I think if the game is interesting, you'll play it. Then there's like, I'm more likely to play a video game if the playable characters are diverse. Well, what about, I think most people like games where you can make your own character, like with a character customization. And the thing is, the more customizable it is, the better. And unfortunately, the woke games, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the woke games actually that actually have customization, they do a pretty piss poor job of like allowing you the absolute freedom. Like Baldur's Gate 3, I always criticize it because they don't have enough customization. You basically make an elf that looks like a black person in makeup, and but it's not an elf. It doesn't look otherworldly. It doesn't look fey. It looks like a Latino or a black guy or a Chinese person with pointy ears, and that's because they're trying to make the fantasy element fit in with their desire for representation, and that's how they square that circle. But like in I think Fallout 4, when that game came out, a lot of people were posting all of the crazy like custom characters they've made. In Elden Ring, that has a lot of really decent custom. I saw somebody do Kanye West on my playthrough. I made the Giga Chad meme, and so like there's definitely some that do it better than others. And I think that if customizable characters count as diverse, then I think most people are going to agree with that, but not because they need to see themselves in something. In fact, the thing is, we talked about this on a show. It came out that the most common kind of character somebody made in Baldur's Gate 3 was a straight white dude.
Yep.
like the guy at Larian Studios was like, so I was a little bit disappointed that nobody was taking advantage of all of our options. They just made straight white dudes. And I was like, oh, fucking based. Well, what are you gonna let me see how much vitiligo I'm gonna give my character. Nobody wants a guy with vitiligo. Nobody wants that. Michael Jackson was trying to avoid that, and he actually had it.
Right.
So,
he was so annoyed about having it that he was just like, I'll just be white all over, fuck, rather than this patchy bullshit. But one of the big things that separates storytelling from narrative design elements in games is storytelling is about the human condition, things that we can all relate to, regardless of where we are in life and what our background is or anything like that. Whereas narrative design is all about identity representation, and you have to be this to even understand, which completely dehumanizes the whole concept of storytelling. And just tries to homogenize us into just automatons. This is all pushing towards transhumanist agendas that want us to effectively just be robots with brain processors.
Yep. So the next one is 63% of respondents agree with the statement, I'm more likely to play a video game if it includes women as playable characters. So again, this depends on what kind of game it is and what do the women look like. Because like people want attractive characters. These people want to uglify everything, which is what the Geena Davis Institute does. In particular, the women, actually, and probably exclusively the women. I think they're okay with the men being sexually appealing to women
Oh yeah.
or
Look,
to other
women need
men.
their cheesecake,
But
even. Yeah.
yes, yeah, but women no. So like, if you ask me that, I'd be like, yeah, well, what are we talking about? Are we talking about Dead or Alive? Are we talking about Guilty Gear? Are we talking about like fighting games that often have like, women like wearing, revealing clothing? Are we talking about
Mhm.
Lara Croft? Are we talking about Bayonetta? Are we talking about no, we're not talking about those characters. We're talking about, Unknown Nine Awakening. We're
Right.
talking about fucking like the what's
South
her
of
name?
profitability, you know.
Yeah, South of Midnight. No, we're talking about what's her name from that black lady who's in everything,
Oh God,
with the buggy
Cynthia
eyes.
Revo
No,
or whatever.
she what was it?
Cynthia
What'd you say?
Revo, right? The gal who's Jesus Christ Superstar and the Wicked
No, no,
Witch.
no, 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 not that demon. No, I'm talking
Oh,
about not the demonic lady from Wicked. No, I'm talking about the woman that was in. I think she was in the Jedi series, Jedi Survivor, and Jedi Fallen Order. She was in I think it was Wolfenstein, the New Colossus. She's in everything. She's
right,
like this
right,
black lady that just is in everything. I just forget her name all the time.
right.
She was on Mad TV back in the day,
Oh
like
yeah,
in the 90s.
yeah, yeah. Every time this conversation gets brought up,
Yeah,
her
I
name
know, I
gets
know, I know.
mentioned, and
But
this
that's what
is
they mean.
exactly
That's
what.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying is that they want a woman like that. Like
yeah,
ever since like this kind of like high res, like incredible graphic fidelity stuff, we've gotten to this point, and people have just looked uglier for the most part. Like I play some retro games sometimes. And when I say retro, I mean like PS2 era and
hmm
even PS3. And the people are more attractive because they're more like I guess you could say standardized, and they're not trying to resemble someone in real life. They're
right,
more like like a standardized face, and but they're not doing that anymore because now video games are another opportunity for actors to get face time, so
right.
they put their face on the character, you know. So, okay. So yeah, are you guys more likely to play a video game if there are women as playable characters? Let me know. I don't have a problem with it, but I don't think that makes them better. I just think it depends on what the game is.
Right.
Like as we know, there are no female space marines, so no. So there. Um, and I'm more likely to play a video game if it includes women. I already read that bit. Yeah. So, and then it says I am less likely to play a video game that uses gender stereotypes. So again, like I don't. This is a tricky question because I think people don't want to deal with gender politics at all.
Right.
Deborah Wilson, thank you, Mr. Ultimate. Yeah,
Yes.
Deborah
Yes.
Wilson.
Yeah.
Um, and I just think that's really misleading. And so, but they're using these studies to essentially control the creation of our cultural content. That is
Well,
the purpose of it.
well, a lot of the
So
way those questions are framed are very leading, so that they can derive whatever kind of information they want from it, because they go and they ask it in such a way that they're like, oh, well, you do want women in games. All right. Well, these are the women
yeah,
that you're going to
exactly.
get,
Well, look at this study, guys. You got to do, and that's the thing. They strong arm developers, and
Mhm.
they end up increasing budgets, increasing the length of time it takes to develop the games because they have
Right.
to like change things and add things. It increased the cost to make it, which
Yeah.
in turn, usually the cost ends up affecting the customers because they have to like find a way to offload those costs that they just had to add on because these people are strong arming them into adding stuff in the game that they weren't going to add before. I
Right.
mean, like literally, I think the story behind Baldur's Gate 3, and again, I don't know if like we got info on the people involved that may have done the consulting. I know it wasn't Sweet Baby Inc. It could be, but there's so many consulting firms out there
Right.
that it could be from anywhere. But originally, that had like all of the sliders for making your own custom characters, and they in the beta, I think they did like a beta or an alpha test that was out there for some people that was in the game, and
hmm
then they had to like take it back and change a bunch of shit to put in the the vitiligo slider and like the limited faces. They actually limited it more
hmm
before they released it. They were just like a few, I think it's like half a dozen presets per
Right.
character race, and they're basically the same. It's like all like it's like 5 races, like
Right.
white, Latino, Asian, black, and fucking Austral Aboriginal or something. And there's like, a number of skin tones, but like, and then vitiligo, and that was it. And face tattoos and piercings for some reason, which is another. We're gonna get into D&D a little bit later because I have a story about that. But
Yeah.
but I think that that's the thing that why this matters to us is that it affects the the, the quality of the games at the end of the
Mhm.
day, but it also affects how much it costs to make, how long it takes to make, and the creative freedom of the people behind it.
Right.
Because these
Right.
people limit them.
Right,
So
and it also creates this weird kind of firewall for passing the buck, because when you go and say, well, it's these consulting firms that are bringing a whole bunch of needless bullshit into the process. They go and say, well, it's not us. We're just brought in the process, and then the game development will say, well, it's not really us because these consulting firms have to give everything a pass, and it's like, all right, so you know what? You're all the top level decision makers in the structure of the business, and your ad hoc consulting firms. That's where I blame you all. And the developer who's just there trying to keep his job because they've got three DEI hires waiting in the wings that don't know what the fuck they're doing. That are going to come in and take his position. That are willing to carry the water and do the thing. He's just doing what he can to just be able to make his ends meet and just do the thing that he wanted to do his entire life, because that's all he's really focused on. And now he has to deal with all these stupid constraints that are being put on him. So yeah, the last people that I really blame are just the people who are actually just there having to carry out the tasks they've been assigned. But it is the control structure. And when they farm out that control structure to a hall monitor effectively, to go and give you detention slips if you step outside what they deem appropriate, that's all in the same kind of corpo mindset. So it's insidious and disingenuous in the practice itself.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments. The Geena Davis Institute and their paper. I'm just showing you guys how these people operate, and obviously it's not just that. If you happen to learn of other NGOs or groups like the Geena Davis Institute or other consulting firms that may have worked on games that people are not talking enough about, please join my Discord and send me a link. I will be sure to report on it on the next stream, or even make a video on it myself, because I think that sometimes people get a little bit hyper focused on like, oh, Sweet Baby Inc., what are they doing today? What are they doing today?
Right.
And it's like, yeah, they're doing stuff, but they're not the only ones. And I think that we should be looking at what else is going on, especially like the layers above that, right? Like towards the top. But anyway, anything you guys can find, and the link to the Discord is in the description. It should be a forever link, so you can join it whenever. So, all right. Anyway, let's look at some of your comments, and then we're going to move on to the next one. So, Mr. 0303 says sex is better than gender plus shorter. A Norwegian says no girls allowed. Praise be to Space King. Yes, you're not canon. Idaho Mike says I'm only familiar with lesbians on Pornhub. I don't think those are real lesbians. You have to meet a real one, and you'll see. Okay, let me see. Mr. 0303 says I'm 100% less likely to play a game with DEI characters. Teal Deer says feminists talk about unrealistic bodies in video games and adult media. I agree. Prawn made me think lesbians are way better looking than they are in real life. Yes, that's right. Let me see. Master Goa says, how are you supposed to play a power fantasy if the character in the game is literally you? I don't know. I've never made myself. Actually, no, that's not true. I played one game where I actually tried to make myself as the main character, because in a customizable, and it was like Def Jam. Do you remember the Def Jam wrestling game? Yeah, I did. Only because it happened to work out. Like there was a Puerto Rican outfit and everything, but I didn't feel good about it. So I'm not a fan of that.
Well,
Okay.
I'm generally default character, or used to be default character number 7 in a lot of games. So I always would just
Mm.
use
Oh
'cause,
yes.
and I know the way I look, so I would always use that as just a way to kind of test the quality of
Right.
the character design engine. But I will usually make
I'm
a
also not one
whole
of those people
suite of
that try to
characters.
make my character look as ridiculous as possible so
Right,
that they show up in like the cutscenes
right,
with all
right.
the normal people. I don't do that either. Um, so yeah. Anyway, Idaho Mike says, "You mean playing Solaire doesn't make me a gamer?" Oh man. Um, Let me see what else here. Master Goa says, "I do play female characters because I like the eye candy and would rather not look at a man if given the choice. Like, you don't want to look at man ass for like hours and hours. I get it." Uh, Norwegian says, "I would get Space Marine 2, but I need an SSD to run it, and the most affordable one costs twice as much as the game." Wow. That's I have an SSD. Well, I think it's worth it though. You don't need an SSD to run it, but you'll be a lot better off because the load times are crazy long. And without it, I mean, the game has long load times anyway. Like, it's one thing one of my criticisms of Space Marine 2 is the load times. But if you get an SSD, I think that is a good upgrade to get. Master Goa says, "Not to sound like a total simp, if I'm creating a character, I'm trying to create a more perfect character. Since I love women, despite my sadism, my perfect character would be female." No, I make female characters all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, let me see. Norwegian says, "No girls allowed." Robert Johnson says, "Gender locked classes are a deal breaker for a lot of gamers. It's not even a consideration for me." Gender locked classes. So you mean like what do you mean, like RPGs where the classes are male or female and they're locked in? I don't know. Okay, let me know what you guys think about that. And I think that's good. Neo, hello, Neo says, I'll go back. "Personally, I'm more likely to play it if it does inclusion in a way that is actually good, which older Dragon Age games were good at doing. It's like the industry forgot how to do it in a way that isn't so preachy." But that's because they don't have good writers.
Right,
If you can make if you can make it organic and people don't raise our eyebrow, because we have an instinct when we see that something seems off and it's forced, we have an instinct to react to it.
right.
So if you don't if it has a logical framework and it doesn't look like it's just there to appease someone, then
Hmm.
I think people will be fine with it.
Which is
So
why most of the backlash has emanated out of the gamer space than other passive forms of media, because gamers are just throughout their life they are skill building pattern recognition and things like
yeah,
that. And so when you start to see these things that break verisimilitude and just completely undermine the concept of what's even going on, like the most obvious one was released last Halloween with Drag Queen Age. What the hell where's the transing center in a medieval fantasy setting? Like, I don't understand. Like,
hmm,
if you wanted to change your sex in a game like that, you think that you could just do it with like a magic potion or a spell. You don't need to have
exactly.
certificates.
Well, yeah, for sure. There are ways that like you said, in the logic of the setting, that you can do stuff like that, but they didn't want that as a solution,
Right,
because then they couldn't make a sermon out of it.
right.
So that's why that's why they did that. I mean, yeah, in a world of magic, it's like the wheelchair thing, you
Yeah,
know? Like, it's like the wheelchair thing in D&D. Like, in a world of magic, why would you choose to live in a wheelchair? Like, when we
right,
have like magical healing and stuff. And it's
right,
because then they can't preach to you, they can't use it as leverage on people to emotionally get them to, like, essentially treat them differently, right?
right.
And that's what it is. And it's all ego. It's all ego. So okay. So anyway, speaking of wheelchairs, we're gonna talk about D&D.
This image.
So Dungeons and Dragons, the flailing corpse that is whatever remains of Dungeons and Dragons, which breaks my heart because I grew up on this stuff, released an image promotional artwork on its official X account to recognize National Coming Out Day. Did you guys know that October 11th was National Coming Out Day? So, I don't know if you noticed that there's like an enormously high number of queer holidays that we're now recognizing, like Trans Day, Trans Awareness Day, Trans Suicide Awareness Day.
Right.
I think they're all close together. Coming Out Day, Pride Month, which was Pride Week.
Right.
Um,
And now Pride Month
what's up?
encompasses.
Greetings from Jack Foxtopia. Welcome
right.
to the stream.
Indeed.
All right, go ahead, Mike, John. Sorry.
I was going to say, and now Pride Month encompasses not only all of June, but also
Pride season,
the end
Pride
of May
summer.
and the first part. Yeah, it's going to just be Pride season.
Well, I think they did. They tried to do that last year. This year, though, Pride's been pretty quiet. I don't know if you guys noticed. It's been pretty low key. I don't know if that has anything to do with changes in our administration. But I already said though, like the reason why we're getting away from the LGBT stuff right now is because people are burned out on it, and it's less, let's say, revolution inspiring. So we're only talking about immigrants now and immigration. Now immigration's a new thing. That's what we're doing now. Okay.
Right.
And then maybe next year it'll be something else. I mean, it's always changing, and you have to change with it. I think we'll be back on Islam. I'm expecting that we're going to be back on Islam in like a few months because we have some elections coming up in the States, and there are Muslims running, and we have what's going on in the UK, which is basically turning into a giant caliphate. So I suspect that the new revolutionary tool is going to be everyone is Islamophobic. That's what we're going to get. Right. I'm calling it now. That's the next thing. We're going to be coming full circle. We haven't done Islam since 2015. So anyway, National Coming Out Day, and they posted this promotional artwork on their official X account, which, as you can see, features pastel hues. I wonder if I can like get this bigger so we can like look at it up close. Oh yeah, here we go. Let me show you. So this is the official Dungeons and Dragons account. Put this out. This is the world of adventure.
The side shaved, the side shaved head, of course.
Oh yeah, right here, the bard with the pink hair and the side shaved head. Totally not anachronistic at all. Totally not. And
is there a white dude anywhere? Oh, there he is. He's got the eye patch.
Where? Oh, right here. He's gay though.
Yeah,
he's gay probably. Yeah. So we have like this tiefling, and I don't know what. I guess it's just like a brown guy, and they're getting it on in public. I guess this is just a pride parade in a medieval setting, which totally doesn't break my immersion at all. Even a dragon is celebrating the gayness. And this is actually kind of a bad drawing too. Like I don't know if you can see how like kind of loose it is. I mean, I don't know. In my opinion, it's not the greatest. We have an old lesbian couple celebrating. We have some kobolds being fabulous. This one's got a straight up scarf, like a
a boa scarf, and
like a boa scarf. An owl bear. Why are the owl bear dancing in the streets? Another demon, basically, getting like
trans maracas. Dragon.
Wait, where are the trans maracas? I don't see that.
The dragon. He's he's got his maracas.
This one?
No, just underneath the owl bear.
Oh, this one, the kobold. It's a kobold. Yeah, he's got the gay maracas. Yeah. And there's a half orc, because this is what half orcs look like now. They're just like I don't know, like Indian dudes. Like there's no that just screams half orc, guys. That just totally screams it. My favorite though. Oh, here's another pair of lesbians like eyeing each other up. My favorite has to be the Beholder.
Right.
The Lovecraftian horror known as the Beholder, looking on lovingly with heart eyes. It's like this is the most antithetical D&D thing I've ever seen, and I'm glad. Well, they shared this image. And this is the official Wizard of the Coast D&D, right? And they shared this image, and they said, "In this realm, your story is yours to tell." Okay, and
soaked in cat piss.
like, no, everyone's clowning on it though.
Right.
Everyone's clowning on it, at least like from what I can see. I'll give you some examples. George Alexopoulos, who makes art, he's one of the artists that makes these comic strips. He says Frank Frazetta is rolling his grave with this shit. And Madam Savvy said, I've seen that hentai monster in the background, and the only time it smiles is when something bad is happening. So I can only assume this will lead to a very dark story. Lauren Chen says, this is gay. Ian Miles Chong says, why does everything you touch turn gay? Data Republican, small r, says, you are satanic just for completely different reasons than the moralists of the 80s and 90s said you were. And then one of my favorites is this one from Fist of Calgar, and I'll just share it with you guys. So he used Grok Imagine to animate this, and he just says, for the Emperor.
There we go.
Tearing through everybody. It's the bomb. Okay.
Right.
So yeah, nobody was happy with this at all. It's kind of great. Anyway, yeah, and so okay. Anyway, so they made this art, and it apparently was tied to a charity drive that supported Trans Lifeline, a hotline for transgender individuals. I can only assume that because it's called Lifeline, it's like a suicide prevention thing.
Right.
And Mr. 303 says, "I love AI now." I'll let this play on a loop if you guys want. So just so you can see this happen over and over.
Right.
However, where was I? The post encouraged fans to play D&D, the D&D you want, while donating via limited edition Magic the Gathering sleeves and D&D merch, framing it as a celebration of inclusive storytelling in the game's lore, where queer themes have appeared more recently, and in the novels. There's a lot of D&D novels that have a lot of queer themes in them because women write those things, and women are basically gay. However, the artwork created by external queer artist Zilla Blaine and not part of any core rulebook drew swift backlash from segments of the D&D community. They lambasted it as a woke propaganda, grooming kids, and a betrayal of the game's gritty medieval-inspired roots in favor of Tumblr-style aesthetics, alienating core audiences. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So and again, this is just bad for their brand. Apparently, their stock is going down, and I think Grums said that it's at its lowest point, and somebody should step in and buy Wizards of the Coast or Dungeons and Dragons, the property. I wish I could. I would like to do that and save it because I still love D&D, and I would totally do it.
All right.
Okay. So yeah. So then let's go with based fucking Space Marines wiping these obvious heretics out.
All right.
That
might be the reason why the Beholder's
this
so
is the work
happy.
of Slanesh, and something needs to be done. What?
I say that might be the reason why the Beholder's so happy, is because this is the end of the world. You know, this is about as bad as it gets. So the Beholder's like, my fight is over.
Yeah, I've won.
Right.
I like how, oh no, boom.
Right.
I don't know what chapter that guy's in, but anyway. So let me see. Where was I? So yeah, so this basically they're at the lowest. Their stock is really low. People could buy them if you guys wanted to. It's something to think about. So maybe we should somebody should retweet this to Elon Musk and say, you know, you want to see I have an idea for something hilarious, and just like let him buy, because he could do it. He could buy it, and I think he's commented on this as well. So. But yeah, these reactions, these AI comebacks or whatever, these AI videos have pissed off the gay trans furries apparently, and they're not happy about it. But you know what? Try some more. So you basically destroyed a hobby. It's basically dead. I don't think that D&D is going to recover from this. So just my thoughts, but
Yeah, no, not. I mean, I don't know how this. It was already bad enough when they had the whole thing about orcs being misunderstood
Yeah.
immigrants, and yeah, but this is just wow.
Well, you know, Tolkien is racist again, right?
Oh, of course.
Um, they do this every fall. I'm not. I'm. They do this every fall, right? Where, for some reason, I don't know. Like, I didn't actually intend on this, but this just happens to be like my tradition. Like when the Lord of the Rings movies came out and we got the extended editions, I had
Hmm.
this thing where every like winter, like around Christmas time, I
Yep.
would watch the old Lord of the Rings movies. It was like a
Yeah.
thing you do. I don't, and I didn't know that it was a thing a lot of people did, but I was doing it with my friends. But I noticed in the last, like, I don't know, 10 years or so, basically every year when the winter starts to come around, some asshole puts a thought piece out saying that, just reminding everyone that Tolkien is racist. And I want to I want to look up what the latest thing on that is, because I was going to mention this.
Yeah. No, they have to go after a guy who you know actually fought in a war and was talking about the fellowship between and camaraderie between you know a band of brothers, as it were, regardless of what their backgrounds are. You know, I there is all the inclusivity you need in the Fellowship of the Rings. If you actually just look at it from again that human connection, uh, and but that's not good enough. It's not good enough. I need to see it at the superficial layer rather than, but these people are generally so vapid and shallow, they have no inner humanity to speak of, and their narcissism is completely out of control to where they can ever get beyond the concept of the self being the only thing that matters.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
they're
I
blinded to their wider humanity.
Yeah, I want to unpack that a little bit because I did mention I wanted to talk about the latest allegations against Tolkien. But let me look at some of your chat regarding this D&D artwork story, and then I'll do that. So let me see. Uh, Gabriel Phelan Lucas says, "Beholder gazing at all the action on the left." Somebody, dude, I want to show you guys something. I forgot I was going to mention this. Somebody took that beholder and made it into a fucking Monster Manual entry. Do you guys see it? It's
Yes.
amazing. Yes. So let me show you guys real quick. Okay. Beholder party host variant. um, Large aberration, chaotic fun, armor class 20. They give you all the stats. You can literally, like, they give you a stat block for this beholder. And it gives you saving throws and everything. And it says the party host beholder is a rare and bewildering aberration that has turned its terrifying gaze from domination to celebration. Once a paranoid tyrant of the Underdark, it suffers a strange psychic mutation after consuming a bard mid-performance, forever warping its mind towards festivity. Now it roams taverns, festivals, and forgotten halls, transforming any space it enters into an uncontrollable party zone. It's amazing. Let me see what else. Each of his eye stalks generates harmless but chaotic magical effects that manifest as glitter, beer, confetti, or spontaneous dance. Rather than destroy intruders, it compels them to sing, dance, and drink until exhaustion. Those who resist its rhythm are not slain but humiliated, forced into slapstick choreography, or drenched in ale before being ejected onto the street. And its stalks do things. It has it's instead, because the old beholders, they were like super narcissistic, paranoid, evil assholes, right? Like
Well,
I
it's
don't know.
I contend that that's still part of this.
Yeah. But so
Stand
instead
to
of
be.
biting, it kisses. Melee weapon attack, it's a kiss. +5 to hit, reach 5 feet, one target, hit psychic damage, causing the victim to question their life choices. Eye rays, there's the free beer ray, the compliment ray, the confetti ray, the dance ray, the balloon ray. It inflates balloons. inflates the target like a balloon. The snack ray, the karaoke ray, the glitter ray, the nap ray, and the friendship ray. And this to me, the best thing that came out of this. I would run a one shot just to put a party host beholder in it because I think it's funny. This is what you do with these people though. You take the piss out of them, you make fun of them because they are jokes.
Right.
And so let me see. Let me get into so now I'm going to get into your comments. I didn't want to forget the beholder. And thanks for reminding me or pointing that out. So, all right. The Norwegian says, in the name of the God Emperor, let none survive. CULT-ure says, I swear things like that are why they're trying so hard to subvert 40K. Absolutely. 40K is like hyper masculine. Like they only go after the stuff that's masculine. And they think that it's dangerous masculine, right? Like that for some reason people are actually going to start, emulating Space Marines or whatever, but it's not. It's escapism. It's just this is just the way these people think. They're definitely coming for 40K. They have been, right? James Brighter says, hey chat, hey bots, welcome. Hey Norwegian, stale and pastel. Yes. Norwegian says Space King looks more like 40K than 40K these days. Definitely watch Space King. It's great. I watched, like Lindsay likes it. We watched it together and she was like, then she understood. She's like, I get the Space Marines now. And so she gets it because of that.
Right.
Okay. Robert Johnson says Hasbro currently owns Wizard of the Coast if memory serves. Yes, but Hasbro might be willing to sell it because they don't really care about the IP, right?
Right.
Teal says chapter based Marines. Based Marines. There you go. Neo says Tolkien ironically isn't racist but an anarchist. Well, you mean like small like a no government guy? Maybe. I mean, that's still right wing though. Anarchy is actually far right. Yes, thank you, Master Goa. That's correct. Dean Domino gave a $1.99 super chat. Thank you. And he says, could message that Saudi prince to buy D&D. Yeah. Get the guy who bought EA to buy it. There you go. He'll make it more base than it is now. That's for sure. Mr. 0303 says, I bet that beholder is called Jeffrey.
Yeah. That's exactly what I thought. His name is Jeff, with a G. Geoff. Jeffrey.
Let me see what else. John Ford says, I guess he has a ray that makes you vote Democrat. Trickster Knot says they already have taken 40K. Yeah, there isn't a lot left there. And then James Brighter says Hasbro, I think he meant to see, Hasbro won't get off Magic the Gathering. It makes money for them. So so sad to see them killing Magic the Gathering. Yeah. Yes. So for sure, but MTG makes them money, but Dungeons and Dragons probably doesn't. So I think that Wizards could sell the D&D IP. They will at some point. And besides that, like, a lot of people are building their own. There's a lot of like alternatives now to it. So yeah, that's also the case. But okay. So we're going to move on to the next one. Let us know what you guys think about this in the comments. I look forward to seeing your thoughts. All right. So shout out to Luke Weber, who worked in animation for many years. I had him on my show over at Honey Badger Radio a couple times. And I found out about this story years ago, like when the Me Too movement was getting off the ground. And he worked on a lot of really big and popular cartoons. Ben 10, the Ninja Turtles, Over the Garden Wall, Steven Universe, all that stuff. And very talented guy, really good at what he does. Look him up. Fresher Luke, really good artist, has a few books out. I suggest you check them out. There's a new one called Something Man, which, I mean, the guy's a genius. Like, I think he's amazing. But anyway, so I sat down and we talked about what happened to him. He ended up getting blackballed and pushed out of the animation studio that he worked at when he was working on Over the Garden Wall, Steven Universe. I forget the name of the studio. It doesn't really matter. And there was an open letter that he was on. It was like a list of a bunch of animators that were supposedly making, like, they were harassing or sexually assaulting women in animation, and he was critical of like the direction they were going, and he's been pointing out that a lot of queer themes have been injected into cartoons for children.
Mm-hmm.
And Steven Universe was one of them, because I remember when I didn't watch the show, but I knew of it, and I saw like some stuff that looked really sus, and I was like, this looks like it's gay propaganda.
Right.
And of course, everyone denied that was happening. But here is an interview clip of Rebecca Sugar, I think that's how you say her name, who is the brains behind Steven Universe, like the person who created the show. This is her show. And Steven Universe was very popular for a while. I don't know if it still is, don't know, but it was. So here's a clip of her basically admitting that this is what she was doing.
When I was showrunning Steven Universe, Garnet was my hill to die on. Garnet was based off my relationship with Ian. Ruby and Sapphire are us. We were running the show together. We knew at that time, this was 2011, 2012, that we weren't going to be allowed to show Ruby and Sapphire in a relationship with each other. So we were trying to figure out a way to have it be a character that you already loved so much that it just could not be taken out of the fabric of the show itself. We kept Ruby and Sapphire hidden from the network until 2014, when we finally made Jailbreak. And as expected, we got the note that these characters cannot be in a romantic relationship. I said that they are. They sing a song about it. They're in love. The song's already been recorded. We can't take it out. And it also was just right. It was just what the story was about. We got the characters in, and from then on, every episode with Ruby and Sapphire was a big uphill battle, but it was one that I was willing to fight. I would compromise on other things, but I would not compromise on Ruby and Sapphire.
My self-insert mattered so much to me.
Exactly. Yes. It was, and it's always a self-insert. That's how egotistical these people are.
Right.
That's what representation is. It's not, I want to see people that share my culture or my language. It's, I want to see me.
Right.
It's me, right? I want to be in this thing. And I never understood that, but it's not a new phenomenon. It's not.
Well,
like, yeah, go ahead.
Well, their whole thing is I don't want to identify with other people. I want other people to identify with me.
Yes.
So they give no shits about anyone else's. The height of narcissism. Yeah, the world would be fine when everybody bows down and accepts me as their emperor god king. Yeah, fucking retarded.
Yes. So Ruby and Sapphire's dynamic until the 2014 Jailbreak episode. Well, no, she talked about that. I already read that bit. I'm sorry, or showed you guys that. So this sparked polarizing reactions. There were a lot of people that were decrying it as, secretly or not so secretly, injecting LGBTQ propaganda and grooming children, which I think is true. I'm sorry, but if you we already talked about, I think on the last one, we talked about all of the cartoons that have trans and gay and bisexual themes in them.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is, okay, the thing about LGBTQ stuff is it isn't love in the same way that a man and a woman getting married and starting a family has.
Right.
It's just an expression of lust. And yeah, I'm not saying that lust can't exist between men and women, but what I'm saying is when it comes to gay and trans stuff, it's exclusively lust, or it's primarily lust. And the problem with that is that you don't want to show, children don't know the difference between the lust between two characters that are horny for each other and the love that their parents have for each other. And so they present it as though those things are the same thing, but they're not. And I think it's to groom children. It's to get them. It normalizes a sexual way to view the world in their mind. And there are Marxist professors from the 60s that have written about this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember his name. but he was a South America. He's in South America, or he was in South America. It's not Adorno. It's on the tip of my tongue. But he wrote an essay. I think it was an essay called "Queering the American Child," and the purpose of it was to sexualize children.
Right.
And I'm going to give you, and that they do it with the queering of the American child. Let me see, trying to find the name. Okay, so there's a number of people: Michael Foucault, Judith Butler, who's alive today, by the way. Judith Butler, she's a lesbian feminist, I believe. Eve Kosofsky, Sedgwick. And this is a thing that goes, like I said, it's an old idea. There was a book actually called "The Queering of the American Child," written by James Lindsay, about this phenomenon. So I'm getting a little bit of my wires crossed, but it was a real thing that Marxist professors were doing. Mm-hmm. So
well, go after the kids while they're young and naive, corrupting their concepts of what life is and keeping things very shallow and surface level, and not having any understanding of deeper bonds. And it's like sometimes to bring up Tolkien again, they try to say, oh well, Tolkien was secretly gay because these all this stuff.
They want that, right?
Right. It's like no. There's fealty and fellowship, and you can care about people without it having some kind of sexual connotation, believe it or not. But
yeah. Paolo Fieri, thank you, Robert Johnson. That's the guy, Paolo Fieri. Yes, an absolute creep, by the way. Yes, thank you. I was trying to remember his name. Appreciate it. So Paolo Fieri. There he is, Brazilian educator and philosopher. Yes, that's the guy. And there's a website, Freire.org, the Freire Institute. So it's not hidden, man. Change the way we think about learning and liberation. So using education to sexualize children to liberate them from heteronormativity. What the fuck? This is what they were doing. And I don't know if Rebecca Sugar knows that, just as much be a product of this. Because that's the thing, like once it's in the school system and parents are not catching what their kids are learning, then the kids pick it up and then they get it like at every stage of their learning. They're just going to carry it into adulthood like it's normal. And then they're going to do it to another generation of children. Mm-hmm. So I say this with some sympathy that Rebecca Sugar is probably as much a victim of this system, but it is a system that came out of the 60s when, the long march to the institutions and all that. And Freire is not, again, he's mainstream. Like this isn't hidden. This isn't like on the deep web or anything. It's just, you can just Google it, Freire.org. You can just go there and look at it. So anyway, so that's like the thing about Rebecca Sugar. She's saying what we all know, and of course people who have also been groomed are just defending it. I could talk for hours about how Steven Universe and Rebecca's fight for Garnet were important to the community. What community? What are you talking about? And bisexuals, aren't bisexuals like transphobic now? Like bisexuals can't exist. That suggests a binary, guys. What are you gonna do? Let's square that circle, man. Rebecca Sugar can't be bisexual. That's bigoted. That's old hat.
And being lesbian is now a gender, according to some fucktard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe it. All right. Well, anyway, that was a short one. Let me look at your comments and we're going to move on to the next thing. So, all right. Neo says, I guess you guys are arguing about whether or not anarchism is left or right. It's right wing if there are no rulers. Right. Anarchy that is just no rules, that's not left or right. That's just chaos. Right. You have to look at it. The way you should look at it is so Antifa they call themselves anarchists, right? but they're communists. They're anarcho-communists.
Right.
But anarcho-communism is impossible because what they think is what they believe, according to Marxists and communists, is that we can get society to a point where no one wants for anything. No one desires property. They all see capital as bad, and they all just share everything, right? Except for maybe what they call personal property, but they never squared that circle either. So what the communists think is that what you can do is you can move from, like a capitalist society, what they call a capitalist society, towards a socialist society, and the socialist society creates the largest government possible. So it's the biggest government you can get because it has to control the means of production, which is basically all the material, all of the businesses and everything. They control all of the capital. And then after that, there's supposed to be a point where we all realize we don't need the government and it'll just dissolve on its own. And then everyone just shares things organically. Now, that step is ridiculous and it will never happen. But anarchists that call themselves anarchists that are ANCOMs or anarcho-communists, they're living in a perpetual state of, well, it's basically just it is a paradox. Like they can't exist, right? Now, on the right side, you have ANCAPs, anarcho-capitalists. They call themselves ANCAPs anyway. And ANCAPs, their worldview makes a lot more sense because essentially what they're doing is they're saying if we can remove the government by taking away people's desire to rely on it for any system, right?
Right.
And
self-determination.
Yeah, but it has to be complete self-determination, like Ayn Rand type stuff, okay? The problem with that is I think it's also unrealistic because people exist that need systems that, they probably couldn't get, like not everyone can be self-reliant because some people are reliant, and women would never go for it in a million years, ever in a million years. So that's also a pipe dream, but at least it's not paradoxical. At least principally it looks like it makes some sense, but we just don't live in that world because you would have to raise generations of people who don't have, like childhood trauma or other things that could affect them that would limit their ability to rely on themselves and the people around them. And you would have to live in a really high trust society for that as well, which would probably require it to be like pretty non-diverse, right?
Yeah.
So the way that is what I think it means, but anarchy is not no rules, it's no rulers.
Right.
But the problem is that the communists are extremely authoritarian and they're okay with using it because they think they're doing it for the right reasons. And this is why communism never comes to full fruition, because it always ends at socialism and then dictatorship, because there is nothing after that. Like you can't, like, could you imagine being the guy who runs the socialist state and then they're like, okay, now it's time to give it all up so that we can all just like organically help each other out? No one will do that.
Right. This
is like, if you want to know what the closest thing is to that, look at North Korea, if you can, because it's like black on the map, So, or China to a lesser extent. But yeah, there's no, I think that there is no left anarchism. Those are just, the leftism is statism. Statism is government control. So, all right. Anyway, so what else? Steven Universe is propaganda. Yes, that's right. James Brighter says Magic the Gathering makes Hasbro money. They will mine it. Absolutely. For the record, Tenchi Muyo is amazing. The original one, I watched it way back in the day when it came out. Teal Deer says, when pushed even a little, every single ANCOM reveals themselves to be a tanky. Yeah, well, there is. Yeah, exactly. There's no distinction. Like, there's a lot of communists are always trying to come up with new ways to label themselves. They call themselves, socialists, social democrats, anarcho-syndicalists, Leninists, Maoists, Stalinists, whatever. It's all the same shit. It's all the same. I'm a social democrat. I'm a democratic socialist. It's all the same shit. They're just trying to rebrand their authoritarian, murderous, genocidal ideology. And so they just call it something different. And now you're just like, oh, I see. You're not one of those communists. You're one of these communists. No, it's all the same shit. So yeah, that's why they turn into a tanky, because you can't have a free market society. Like, you can't build a free market pocket in a communist country, but you can build a communist pocket in a free market country. We have communes all over the United States.
Right.
I mean, no one lives there because they're shit. I mean, there are some people, they grow their own food. What was the Chaz Chop? That was a commune.
Right.
And you know, so I mean, go for it if you think it'll work. But anyway, Robert Johnson says, what will be the price of bread in Peoria be today, Your Highness? Gabriel says, anarcho-Brianism. Yeah, there you go. All right, anyway, so we got to move on to the next thing. I have a couple of... I wanted to talk about Tolkien. So, all right, just to mention, this is just a latest attack on him. So, a recent academic course at the University of Nottingham, so this is in England, titled Decolonizing Tolkien, has reignited debate over whether J.R.R. Tolkien's works contain racist elements, with historian Dr. Onyeka Nubia, British name, I'm sure, total British citizen, leading the module and arguing that Tolkien's depiction of dark-skinned characters, including orcs and Eastern races like the Easterlings and Haradrim, reflects ethnic chauvinism and a broader anti-African empathy within the Western literary canon. This claim has been widely reported in media outlets, with some framing it as a woke academic initiative, while others, like Outkick, have dismissed the argument as absurd and completely absurd. There's two levels of absurd. Absurd, completely absurd, emphasizing that Tolkien's works do not equate skin color with morality, and that orcs were originally corrupted elves, not representations of real-world ethnic groups. Why would Dr. Onyeka Nubia have criticisms of Tolkien's work?
I wonder.
Oh gosh. So I don't know what to say, except UK needs to, like, you guys got to do something about your immigrants, because they're coming for your culture and they're taking it personally. So yeah, get them out, and also note on that, absurd and completely absurd is about as posh as a cucumber sandwich. So anyway, yeah, I just wanted to show that one briefly. We've talked about this at length. I don't want to drag out the whole Tolkien isn't racist thing. It's just kind of bullshit.
Well, there'll be another chance again next year, you know.
Yeah, they'll just do it next year. It's whatever. So okay. In video game news, sadly, Tobunobu, is that how you say his name? Tobunobu Itagaki has passed away. And you're probably okay. So Tobunobu Itagaki, the visionary Japanese game designer renowned for creating the Dead or Alive fighting series and revitalizing Ninja Gaiden in 2004 as Team Ninja's flamboyant founder, passed away on October 16th at age 58. His family shared the news in a pre-written farewell message on his Facebook page, where he reflected on a life of bold pursuits. Quote, I am proud to say that I followed my beliefs and fought to the end, end quote, ending with Kurt Vonnegut's poignant, so it goes. The cause of death remains undisclosed, prompting widespread shock across the industry, because 58 is pretty young, especially for a Japanese guy. Those people live to be like 100 or something. Tributes poured in from rivals like Tekken's Katsuhiro Harada, who mourned their comrade in arms. Nice, respect, honor. And peers, including Masahiro Sakurai, while Team Ninja expressed deep sorrow for their inaugural leader's untimely loss. Itagaki's rebellious legacy, marked by innovative combat mechanics and a rockstar persona, that's putting it mildly, continues to influence action gaming. I saw this picture and I was like, is that Gene Simmons? But yeah, so I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that. I like the Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive games.
Mhm.
So I played them on my channel too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he certainly had his own style, and definitely was unyielding to outside pressures. So, like very, very, individualistic in his pursuits for artistic integrity and things like that. So, it is definitely a loss to the wider gaming community for somebody who actually had the wherewithal and the strength to actually continue to put things out that people enjoy just on a visceral level, without all this pomp and circumstance bullshit getting put into it.
Yeah. And he got lost his job because of sexual harassment claims too. So another victim of bullshit Me Too stuff in Japan, no less, where we're told that, everybody's based there. Sorry, but Japan also has women. So
yeah,
sorry to tell you. John Ford says, I'm going to play Ninja Gaiden 4 next week. Yay. Gabriel Phelan Lucas says, the Ninja Gaiden community was hit hard by this. I know some people who were prominent members of the old Ninja Gaiden boards. Wow, there are boards for that? Shame he never got to work on another project at the scale of Ninja Gaiden. Did he not work on, I assume he didn't work on 4 because he got fired, but what was the last thing he worked on? He was big on Dead or Alive. Basically, his whole thing was, I just want to make stuff that people like. So he was like, sexy women, badass ninjas.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, that's how you sell games, guys. It's easy.
Yeah.
I'll
be honest, I never would have bought a volleyball game in my life if it weren't for Dead or Alive.
That's right. Dead or Alive about extreme volleyball. Probably, I mean, I heard that it wasn't even great mechanically. Nobody cared though.
I be honest, I think I don't know if I ever actually played a game of volleyball in it. But it was still an amazing piece of work.
It does have, I hear there's volleyball in it, but
yeah.
I don't know. I didn't have it. It was an Xbox thing, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't have an Xbox, so I never got to play it. I tried to emulate it for Goon and June, but I couldn't get it to run. It just kept crashing. So the Xbox 360 emulator is kind of garbage right now. Or at least some games don't run well. So I've tried, but can't do it. There's probably another way to get it at this point, but no idea. Okay. But anyway, so just a quick shout out to Tomonobu Itagaki. And I got more for you guys news-wise, but I did get a super chat I'm going to read from Master Goa, who said, for $10, thank you, Master Goa. I ruined the guy's worldview by pointing out Steven Universe was harem anime like Tenchi Muyo, but sketch since Steven seems young. Also, cake, please. Ground Zero, Echoes of the Living, Tormented Souls 2. Well, Lindsay's home because she wasn't feeling well, so I brought her home early, so I don't have to like rush off or anything. So, are you okay if this show goes a little bit longer, John? Yeah, okay, because I might go longer because there's something I want to show you guys afterwards. It's kind of like a video. Okay. So next bit of news, we got like 3 deaths, unfortunately, 3 in memoriams to talk about. So Ace Frehley, the original lead guitarist and co-founder of the iconic rock band Kiss, known for his spaceman persona, pyrotechnic guitar solos, and hits like Cold Gin, his solo smash New York Groove, passed away on October 16th, 2025 at age 74 in Morristown, New Jersey. The cause was complications from a late September fall in his home studio that led to severe brain bleed, hospitalization, life support, and the cancellation of his remaining 2025 tour dates. His family announced the news, noting his enduring legacy as a self-taught riff master who shaped hard rock's theatrical heyday. Tributes poured in from Kiss bandmates Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons, who called him an irreplaceable rock soldier, alongside peers like Pearl Jam's Mike McCready, who credited Frehley with sparking his guitar passion via a childhood Kiss lunchbox. R.I.P. Ace Frehley. Yeah. You know, I don't know what your thoughts are on Kiss. If you want to say anything, I don't know.
I used to listen to Kiss back in the 80s and 90s. Loved, a lot of their earlier works. and even some of their later stuff, I think that they kind of did get a little bit over commercialized at a certain point in time. But
Mhm.
that's at this point in time, that just kind of seems to be the rock and roll kind of avenue that everybody arrives at. Trent Reznor, historically 20 years ago, said that he didn't want to be ambling about in his 60s, trying to kick the Nine Inch Nails label down the road. And then now he was an executive producer and one of the two jet fighters in Tron Ares, the flop that was, and put the Nine Inch Nails branding on what could have just as easily been a Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross score, and I would have enjoyed it more under that labeling. So I can't really fault, because he is now actually 60, and so these things just kind of do tend to happen. But Ace was not a part of that commercialization stuff that happened with Kiss. He was out of the band by that point in time, but I certainly loved the stuff from the 70s and the 80s and everything like that he was a part of.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really like, I've heard Kiss. They're fine. They don't sound as hard as you think they're going to sound based on their look, but they were really good at marketing themselves. Basically,
Yes.
like that was what there was the whole spectacle, and maybe they were the guys that made that a thing. I don't really know. I did hear this. So Razor Fist, who's I'm a big Razor Fist fan. He definitely knows his music. And he said that Ace Frehley was the most talented member of the band, and his solo career was proof of that. He did go solo for a while. So, but a lot of these guys, I mean, it's a shame that because he was like 78, and it was an accident. That's the tragic part of that.
Right.
But yeah, R.I.P. in peace, Ace Frehley, and I got one more in memoriam to show. But let me look at some of these comments because I'm sure that there will be some related to that. So Gabriel says his last game was Devil's Third. That's referring to Itagaki. And let me see. Somebody else said something else here. Gabriel says, I'm not familiar with Kiss. If you've heard one Kiss song, you've heard them all. Yeah. Then he says, if I was, John Doe would suspect Israeli involvement. Well, Kiss, they're all Jews. The whole band is Jews. So that's why they wear makeup. So that's why they dress like clowns.
Right.
Anyway, so all right. So anyway, thanks for that. John Ford says, I saw Kiss when I was in 9th grade. Yeah, it was popular with young, like when I was a little kid, like a 10 or 11 years old, I think when Kiss was out. My friend had a lunchbox with the face paint on it, with the band, the faces of the band on it. So it was definitely cool with kids just because they had that, like, they were like characters, like, they were like space superheroes or something. But I didn't listen to any of the music. I just saw them, just the visuals, right? You go into like, anybody ever been to like a music store, like where you could buy records and stuff back in the day? Oh, there was one, I can't remember the name of it now, but it was all the rock and roll stuff, the metal stuff was in there, and there'd be posters, and you could like go through the posters to see if you want to buy one, and there'd be the Kiss posters, and they were always the most like, they pop the most because of their look, So, but I mean, I was more in high school. I was more into like Iron Maiden and Deep Purple, Megadeth a little bit. Mostly like Iron Maiden, Led Zeppelin, like I was listening to that stuff. So, but anyway, let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. Glam rock, kinda. I guess they are. I don't know. That's more like Poison, right?
Right. Well, the New York Dolls.
I don't know.
The New York Dolls were kind of big at the time that Kiss was coming out into when they were first getting started, and they were trying to find a way to differentiate themselves, and that's how the face paint and whatnot emerged, because they wanted to do something that kind of took that but did it in a more kind of hard fashion. And so that's how you end up with the demon and the Starman, the space and the cat, that is Peter Criss. So Yeah.
The cat. It's too bad he got stuck with that one. Somebody gets to be a demon, and somebody was like, "I'll be the cat." But anyway, okay. So, what a shame.
Yeah.
James Brighter mentions Alice Cooper. Yeah, Alice Cooper was. Yeah, that's awesome. Gabriel says Simmons recalls a meeting he had with Sabam. Afterwards, Sabam talked shit about Simmons in Hebrew, to which Simmons responded in Hebrew, "I'm one of you, you fucks."
Yep.
Yeah, Bowie. Yeah, the Bowie had his Starman period. Exactly. All right. Anyway, so the last one is Drew Struzan. So I don't know that everyone knows who Drew Struzan is. I did because I'm into illustration. He is a legendary illustrator, basically crafted iconic movie posters for Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, Harry Potter, Blade Runner, The Thing, E.T., all kinds of stuff. And he passed away on October 13, 2025 at 78 from complications of Alzheimer's disease, which he had battled for several years. The news was shared by his family on his official Instagram, with his wife Dylan noting in March his inability to paint or sign works due to his illness. Tributes flooded in from collaborators like Steven Spielberg, who calls Struzan's photorealistic art event art that turned films into destinations, and George Lucas, while fans hailed him as the last great painter of Hollywood for his vibrant, character-driven style that defines cinematic magic. So absolutely the guy for movie posters. And yes, the last great movie poster illustrator, Drew Struzan. So this is some of the stuff that he's done. He did Hellboy. It's a good one. I have a few things. Let me see. So
in age before Photoshop, he made some pretty amazing portraits and
Blade Runner,
compositionally, like just
E.T.
on point.
Yep. Back to the Future. Like, this is iconic stuff that he did. Star Trek. I don't know which. I think that might be Star Trek the movie or something, but I'm not sure. He did, yeah, all that stuff. The Thing. This is Drew Struzan here with Robert Rodriguez. That's Rambo and The Thing. Which the Thing, which is a great fucking movie, by the way. He didn't know what the movie was about because they didn't tell him. So all he knew was where it took place.
Right.
And that it was like some kind of alien. And so that's all he had to work with. And this is the poster he gave us. An absolutely iconic poster.
Yes.
I remember when I saw this, like on a VCR case, I thought that was terrifying. I thought it was terrifying. Spy Kids. He did the Spy Kids poster. And yeah. So yeah, Drew Struzan, we lost a good one, man.
Yeah.
You know, Indiana Jones, Big Trouble in Little China, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, just about any movie that you can think of as a touchstone to the 1980s and the 90s was probably, you're probably thinking of the cover that he drew.
Yeah. So, yeah, Hook. He did Hook as well. So anyway, yeah. So that I don't know what you guys think about that. I just wanted to point out this guy was probably like, we're losing all of our greats, and I don't know if airbrush takes so much time. All the master artists are leaving us. Yeah, man. Dang, all on the canvas. What a master. He was really good at his job. And yeah, he knew how to capture like the likeness without it wasn't quite photorealistic, but it was really good. So yeah, and he was really good at what he did. So yeah, I'm sad about that. Drew Struzan was great, and Alzheimer's has got to be really tough to live with, I mean, like
Yeah, no, that's my dad. He had diabetes that got compounded with his Alzheimer's, and his Alzheimer's effectively shook him to the core so much that his body forgot that it had diabetes, and he managed. He lived with it for like about 10 years before he passed away. So yeah, it's rough. My dad was nonverbal and everything like that at the end of it all. So it is destructive in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah. So Yeah, anyway, so that was Drew Struzan, absolute legend. I'm gonna look at some of your comments here, and then we'll move on to the next thing. I'm gonna try and fit in some cake. I don't want this to go super long, but I think we can do it.
Yeah.
Master Goa gave us another $5. Thank you. And he says, Z just now dropped a link to Harada's tweet about Itagaki in Discord, general chat. It's good stuff. So I'm going to read that one out because it is good stuff. This is right here. This is some cool shit. So Katsuhiro Harada, the guy behind Tekken, who works for Namco, Itagaki was a longtime rival of his. So this is what he had to say. He said, it's hard to believe, but Itagaki-san, my senior from university and my rival as a creator, had passed away. The last message I ever received from him was, let's go drinking, let's make some noise soon. To think that he's gone at just 58 years old. Yes, everyone dies eventually. That's inevitable. But you, isn't it a bit too soon? Didn't you say you were going to defeat me someday? Didn't you come to my wedding wearing your usual black leather jacket and sunglasses and call me your comrade in arms? Didn't you tell me to come to you whenever I was in trouble? I never even got the chance to consult you about anything. Honestly, I'm really depressed. Itagaki's my final message, English translation. Words I leave behind, the flame of my life is finally about to go out. If this message has been posted, it means that the time has come. I am no longer in this world. This final post has been entrusted to someone dear to me. My life was a series of battles, and I kept on winning. I know I caused trouble for many along the way, but I followed my convictions and fought to the very end. I have no regrets. Only one thing weighs on me. I'm deeply sorry to all my fans that I couldn't bring you a new work. I truly am. That's just how it goes. So it goes. Tomonobu Itagaki. And, well, there's the message.
Mm-hmm.
But here's Harada and Itagaki chilling together. They were rivals, but you know, they still respected each other. I guess that was still there. So baller, yes, that's right. Mr. 03 says Itagaki won. Harada drove Tekken into the ground. Well, that's true. I mean, I you know, Tekken 7 was my last Tekken, so. But it could be worse. It could have ended up being Fatal Fury, where they have like random DJs and soccer players in it as playable characters. So, but anyway, yeah. So I think it's very cool. That's some manly shit right there.
Mm-hmm.
So bro rivals, yeah, right. Okay. So, thank you for that, Master Go. Appreciate it. He says, Big Trouble in Little China is my favorite movie. It influenced me greatly. I wish I could be Jack, a white guy, lead on and supernatural Oriental adventure by his Chinese friends. I love Big Trouble in Little China. It's. I only say one of because I have so many, but that's one. That's one of the movies I call a perfect movie. That's a perfect movie. That RoboCop and Predator 1. Those are perfect fucking movies.
Right.
But I have a lot, man. The original Rocky is fucking awesome. You know, there's a lot. But thank you for that. I love Big Trouble in Little China. I know it backwards and forwards. All right. So next up, I want to show you guys this. This is a little bit of a different kind of video. But we're gonna look at this because I thought that this was pretty amazing. And I don't know if I'm playing the whole thing, but it is worth checking out if you guys look this up. This is Helen Andrews overcoming the feminization of culture. And she is going to make the argument, and it is on point for the most part. So Master Goa says, I made Madam Savvy watch Big Trouble in Little China. She didn't see it? Oh my God. These kids are so deprived. All right, let's play this video. You guys can't hear it. Hold on a second. I'm gonna stop sharing and then share it again. Sometimes this happens where for some reason, like, it's a Video Ninja issue, I guess. Okay.
A little boy and going up chronologically to today's advent of AI. And there were only 7 revolutions on this list because this was only the greatest and most earth-shaking ones. And right there, between the fall of communism and the invention of the internet, was something called the Great Feminization. That is not a phrase that a lot of Americans know, but future historians may well rank it as having greater importance than almost any other revolution on that list. The Great Feminization is very easy to define. It refers to the increasing representation of women in all of the institutions of our society. But as simple as it is to define, it's very difficult for those of us on the other side of that revolution to fully grasp its significance. The first thing that most people fail to understand about it is how unprecedented it is in human history. There have been many societies that have been feminist to one degree or another, in which women have been queens and owned businesses and held positions of authority that commanded the respect of men. But there has never been a society in which women hold as much political power as they do today. Think of all of the parliaments that have ever existed, every legislature in every country in every century. None of them has been, as ours is, 1/3 female. The idea of a female chief of police would have seemed very strange even to many early feminists, and yet today the police department is led by a woman in the largest city in America and in the city in which we are now standing. Law schools today are majority female. Law firm associates are majority female. Medical schools are majority female. Women earn a majority of BAs and PhDs. College faculty are majority female. Women are 46% of the managers in the United States, and the white-collar workforce overall, workers with college degrees, a majority of them are women. These are, in many cases, very recent developments, with the tipping point having occurred only in the last 5 to 10 years. And that is the other common misconception about the Great Feminization. People tend to think of feminism as something that occurred back in the 1970s. But it took several decades to go from token representation to approximate gender parity. The first woman on the Supreme Court was appointed in 1981, and in that year, women were 5% of the judges in America. Today, there are, of course, 4 women on the court, 1 justice away from a female majority, and women are 30% of the judges in America, 40% of the judges in the state of California, and 63% of the judges appointed by President Joe Biden. So from the first woman on the court to a likely female majority on the Supreme Court is probably going to be a span of about 50 years. And the exact same trajectory over the same timeline can be seen in many other professions. There was a pioneering generation in the 1970s where a woman was often the only female reporter in her newsroom or the only female professor in her department. And then increasing female representation through the 80s and 90s until a healthy female representation of about 20 to 30% by the turn of the century. And today, 25 years later, in many of these fields, they are now 40% female or 50-50 gender equal. And the pendulum may not be done swinging yet. As feminized as we are, we may get more feminized still. Look at the example of the profession of psychology. As recently as 25 years ago, psychology was a predominantly male profession, up to 70% male. Today, the youngest cohort of psychologists just joining the profession, 20% male. Men have evacuated the profession of psychology. And it's easy to understand why. It's because psychology has become feminized. As women increased their representation in the profession, they reoriented the field to be more friendly to their ideas and preferences, to be about caring and empathy and non-judgmentalism. So a man who wanted to become a psychologist because he liked judging other people would naturally choose a different profession. The same thing has occurred in literary fiction. Some of you may have read in the last 12 months one of several articles in the New York Times about how men don't read novels anymore. And the explanation why, which is very obvious to me, even if it's not obvious to the New York Times, is that the publishing industry is overwhelmingly female, almost 80% female. So men do still like to read novels. They just don't like to read the kinds of novels that today's publishing industry produces. Some fields are more susceptible to feminization than others. There's very little you can do to feminize the field of math or engineering. But as women join a field in greater numbers, we should expect that any field that can be feminized
will be, and the dynamic will play out exactly as it has in psychology. It may be that a 50-50 gender split is not a stable equilibrium. I have referred several times so far to feminization without defining what that means. I'll have a lot to say about it in just a moment, but if you want to put it in a single sentence, you could say that feminization equals wokeness. Everything you think of as wokeness is simply an epiphenomenon of
This is
demographic
important.
feminization.
Because everyone talks about wokeness,
Think
and
about all
all
the
it
things
is
that wokeness
feminization.
means.
Yep.
And she's right.
Valuing empathy
What I've been
over
trying to say.
rationality,
Yep.
safety over risk, conformity and cohesion over competition and hierarchy. All of these things are privileging the feminine over the masculine. So if you have ever wondered why wokeness appeared out of nowhere when it did, that is my hypothesis, that all of the institutions that began admitting women in the 1970s eventually got enough women that they were able to reorient them.
I know I've
For example,
said,
women are consistently less supportive of free speech than men in surveys asking which is more important, protecting free speech or preserving an inclusive society. Approximately 2/3 of men say free speech, and approximately 2/3 of women say inclusive society. In moral reasoning, the traditional way of phrasing the difference between men and women is to say that women have an ethics of caring and men have an ethics of justice. In making a moral judgment, men will ask, what are the rules and what are the facts? Women tend to be more interested in context and relationships. So let's apply that to wokeness. When James Damore wrote his famous, or I should say notorious memo for Google, arguing that female underrepresentation in the hard sciences might not be the result of bias and prejudice, no one even attempted to argue that he was wrong on the facts. The reason that he was fired was because the things he had written might make his female coworkers feel bad.
right.
Or consider the Kavanaugh hearings. The masculine position was to say that maybe something bad happened to you, but if you do not have evidence, then we can't allow you to ruin a man's life and career over it. The feminine position was to say, how can you talk about rules of evidence? Can't you see she's crying? Now, to be clear, many women were revolted by the way the Kavanaugh hearings played out. In fact, the very best book on the Kavanaugh hearings was written by two women, Molly Hemingway and Carrie Severino. But a political system in which men predominate will tend to operate according to rules of facts and objectivity, and one in which women predominate will tend to operate by the rules of emotions and subjective facts, even if there are individual men and women who fall on the opposite side of those camps. There's a lot more that could be said about sex differences and wokeness, but I'll skip ahead to the controversial part of my argument. Because believe it or not, nothing I've said so far has been particularly controversial. So far, I have only made two claims. One, men and women are different. And two, as institutions become more female, they change in predictable ways according to those differences. I think even most people on the left would agree with that. Feminization is a great example of what Michael Anton calls the celebration parallax, which is a fancy term for anything where you're only allowed to notice something if you think it's a good thing. There are literally thousands of articles out there saying it's great that we have more women judges now because women are more empathetic, or it's good to have more women on corporate boards because that'll make capitalism more humane. It is only when you say women are fundamentally changing the bedrock institutions of our society, and that might be bad, that you start to get into trouble. But I have two actually contentious claims today, and that is the first of them, that feminization is not just an interesting new development that has had some pluses and minuses. It's that feminization, in the case of many important institutions, is a bad thing. In a few cases, it is so bad as to be, to threaten the end of civilization. The rule of law, for example, is a very important thing. It's also very fragile. It requires a deep commitment to objectivity and clear rules, even when those rules yield an outcome that is not nice. I do not want judges who are more interested in context and relationships than in what the law says.
Right.
Academia is the one part of our society that's supposed to be about finding and transmitting the truth. If it instead becomes about censoring ideas that are dangerous or threatening, then it no longer serves its purpose. In business, if the only way to advance at your company is to behave in the most HR compliant way possible, that's going to exclude and discourage the very people who are most likely to be leaders and innovators. I happen to think that the most important political issue in America today right now is immigration. And that is a perfect example of a political issue where the elite consensus is highly feminized. We have all of these laws on the books about citizenship and borders, but we're not allowed to enforce any of them if it might make somebody sad. So rule of law, pursuit of truth, borders, innovation. Without these things, I am not being hyperbolic when I say that a thoroughly feminized civilization will set itself on the road to collapse.
Yep.
So that is the first claim, that feminization is in many cases a bad and a threatening thing. The second claim proceeds from a question, and it's a very important question. Can we have demographic feminization in the literal sense without having substantive feminization of the kind that I believe is so dangerous? That is, can we have more female lawyers and judges and academics without having, or while still maintaining the old standards? Because in theory, of course, you can imagine such a thing. There certainly are enough women, there certainly are many women who have the talent and the inclination to meet the old standards. There are many women who are excellent judges. I know many female journalists who are just as hard-nosed and uncompromising as any of their male peers. There definitely are such women, but I am not sure that there are enough of them. Because the question is not, can some women be excellent professors? The question is it possible to have an academia that is majority female and is still as committed to, and still respects the unhindered pursuit of unpopular truths as much as the old predominantly male academia did? I believe the answer is no. I believe demographic feminization does inevitably lead to substantive feminization. It is a difficult thing to confront, but I genuinely believe it to be true. So what does that imply? What should we do about it? I hasten to make clear that I do not propose to ban women from any field or even to discourage them from pursuing their goals as far as their talents and ambitions will take them. I don't think we have to do anything as crazy as that. The only thing that I propose, and I think all that is necessary to solve the problem, is to take our thumb off the scale. Because right now, in ways that many people don't quite appreciate, there is a thumb on the scale in favor of women. The most important example, of course, is anti-discrimination law. It is illegal to have too few women employed at your company. If women are statistically underrepresented in your institution, that is a lawsuit waiting to happen. So companies and institutions give jobs to women that they would not otherwise have gotten, give women promotions that they would not have otherwise gotten, and in a pinch, they create jobs that did not need to exist, involving PowerPoint slides, just to get their numbers up. This is why HR departments exist and why they promote gender diversity so assiduously, not because they're ideologues, although they are, obviously, but because they are protecting their company from lawsuits. Anti-discrimination law also mandates that the culture of every workplace be feminized, because if the atmosphere of your workplace is too brash or competitive or combative, that is also a lawsuit waiting to happen, because it is an indication that your workplace is not sufficiently welcoming to women. That is why HR departments are so zealous about policing every interaction and every communication and making sure none of it has any rough edges. So that's agenda item number 1. Get rid of all the HR ladies.
Yep.
Who's with me?
Yeah, and that has been my contention for the longest time, is that I've been saying this for decades now, that the hollowing out of industry and things like that all happened through the avenue of the HR, because again, creating positions that didn't exist. And then once they have the ideological kind of control valve on who gets let in, they just simply, did the ideological capture of, are you with my line of thinking? Not, are you talented? You have the skill and ability to do the job. Are you someone that I feel comfortable working with? And that was the slow creep that has gained velocity, and now it's almost terminal, and we're
Yep.
we're hitting a wall. Yeah.
Yeah. And then again, I'm going to finish this, almost over. I
Yeah.
appreciate your patience, but yeah, I mean, like I've been saying, HR, and look, the thing is, everything she said, this has been happening in the industries that we talk about.
Yep.
They become ultra feminized to the point where they probably have female majority. You've seen the photos of like studios like Ubisoft
Mhm.
where they show you the team and it's like a bunch of women and gay
Oh, yeah.
men. So you see that, and HR is a big part of that,
Yeah.
So she is thankfully identifying it and then saying it, and that's why I'm sharing it, because
Yeah.
it's unfortunately it kind of has to come out of the mouth of a woman for people to pay attention. And
Right,
the thing
'cause
is,
otherwise it's
wokeness,
bigoted.
yeah, wokeness itself is feminine. So when you
Mhm.
see people who are, like black activists or native activists or climate activists or gay activists, it's all coming from the feminine perspective. And so that's why they have a feminine reaction. And I don't
Right.
mean like, you know what I mean? Like
Oh, yeah.
Steven Crowder recently did a black and white on the gray issues, where he goes into black communities and he talks to them. And he was in a barbershop trying to talk to
Yep.
some black.
We covered both parts
You
of that
covered
over
that.
on Toasty's
And they were
channel, yeah.
all, and they were all like essentially acting like women. Like they were
Mhm.
like, oh, but what about, this, and oh, but my historical, oppression. That's a feminine way of looking at the. And if you said that, they probably want to kick your ass, because the
Right.
last thing that men like that want to be compared to is women. But it's true. It's a feminine mindset
Yeah.
that puts you in the victimhood, like where you observe your entire reality by how the world affects you instead of like how you can affect the world.
Yep.
And I'm not saying it has no place there. Obviously, the feminine perspective has its uses, but the problem is that it's in an extreme position of authority. So,
Right. Yeah.
thank you for the gift, Paradoxical Rebellion Against Rebellious Paradoxy. Appreciate that. I don't know
I
how
received it.
gifting works, but thank you for that. Membership was gifted. Oh, he gifted you a membership. Very
Yeah.
cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Much
Nice.
appreciated.
Yeah, let me wait. How do I put that on the screen? Woo! Yay. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. So anyway, this is like I'm saying it was enraging. Toasty with the mosty. Yeah, it was. It
Mhm.
was. I watched it too, and then but the thing is, they're not gonna get it because it's just we're looking at generations of people who have been living under this feminization, right? And the black population is very feminized now. Like,
Mhm.
how many people are raised by single moms who are just like banging drug dealers that don't stick around, and then their kids grow up and they don't know who their father is. They're completely separated from their entire lineage. They don't know what their name means, and they get made up names, and they are essentially coddled so that if they react violently or emotionally and they have no impulse control, it's rewarded, so they do more of it. This is a product of feminization. If you want to see where our whole society is headed with regards to the feminization of everything, look at what's going on with black people. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, that will be everybody. They are not unique, okay? The Latinos are right behind them. I know. I'm from Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay? I've seen it. So this is the fight.
Right.
The racial shit, all the Jews, none of that really matters. If we don't solve the problem between men and women, you can kiss everything goodbye. That's
Yeah.
all it is, right? And it means treating women like adults. So
Right.
anyway,
Accountability. Yeah. Finish it up.
yeah.
I'll save my other point for
Okay.
the end.
And then
Yeah.
we'll see how it shakes out. If your company has too few women, that might indicate that you have a problem with your recruiting pipeline. On the other hand, it might not. Either way, we're not going to send a team of lawyers after you to second guess you. It's funny, HR departments are always so careful about making sure the atmosphere at the workplace is welcoming to women. I wonder if they ever considered that maybe their soggy, conflict-averse, nicey-nice atmosphere might not be welcoming to men. The other thumb on the scale, obviously, is the two-income trap. Women pursue careers because they have to for their families to attain a middle-class standard of living. If we address that through various other policies to make it possible for families that want to have one earner to do so, I think the problem of feminization will subside on its own as individuals make different choices based on what's best for their own families. That's just my prediction. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's get rid of the two-income trap and give people the choice, and then we'll see what happens. In conclusion, feminization is a sensitive topic. I am acutely aware of the sensitivities because I am, of course, myself a woman. I very much enjoy being a writer, and I would never want to discourage another woman from pursuing the path that I have followed. On the other hand, I am also someone with a lot of disagreeable opinions. So if society becomes more conformist and less welcoming to ideas that are controversial or unpopular, I'm also going to have a hard time of it. The important thing to remember is that it's not about what's best for me personally. It's about what's best for the society I live in and the society my children are going to grow up in. So my final exhortation to all of you is that we should all consider this difficult topic unselfishly. Not from the perspective of what's to our individual advantage, but from the perspective of what's best for all of us. Thank you.
Indeed. 'Cause, yeah, for myself, you could say that my life has been completely undermined by feminism in just the past 5 years or so. I went from being told in college that I would be one of the best people to run a game studio to being told by an ethically beige woman that under no uncertain terms would I ever be hired for Rockstar, despite having more actual in-world time spent in it than most people who probably even actually worked on the game at that point. And it's not as though I have issues working with women. I spent 10 years working at that, better part of a decade working at the doctor's office, where I was the cock
Sure.
in the hen house, and ultimately was undermined by, my title of being the dispensary manager was completely torn asunder, and all the systems that I put into place were completely just cast aside as soon as a young black girl who had dropped out of college showed up to work the front desk, and now we were the co-managers. And they took everything that was based on chronological placement of orders and turned it into an alphabetical system based on the first name in the alphabet, not even the last name. So it just you spent all the day just going back and reordering, how the purchase orders were laid out based on names rather than just having everything as first in, first out, and having a timely way of dealing with our customer base. It was completely just undermined because that was a system that I had built, and so that needed to be undone to make this new person who I wasn't even allowed to call my subordinate. She probably even got paid more than me. Now that I kind of think back at the ways things kind of stacked out, because while I was there trying to just do a job that I was, capable of because I had a background in computers and in medicine and all this kind of stuff, and I just uniquely fit that niche. She was
Yeah.
pleasing to the women that came in, and I wasn't the creepy dude over in the corner who knew how to run everything. So and then even still, when I showed up here in the Midwest, and I got attacked by a overweight, genderqueer, blue hair, body positive niece, the judge who ruled over it, her name was Judge Payne, and she wanted to consider me a flight risk. All these kind of things, even when everybody else, even when the warden herself spoke to how much of a problem I was not, she still wanted to send me back to county jail for the maximum amount of time that she had available. And thankfully, the warden was like, "Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. You're free to go because you were here over the bare minimum to be let out on your own recognizance because you clearly just got a raw deal." So, I don't have a problem with women. I can work with them. I work with Toasty, throughout the
Sure.
week, and everything's fine there. But yeah, this idea of that she's proposing, like I said, dovetails exactly with what my thoughts have been on it for decades now about how the HR onboarding process ultimately hollowed out all these things, and now women are effectively frat dudes from the 1980s with vaginas, and that only goes to complicate things on a social strata all the further, because where women used to have some measure of responsibility over the actual relationships in this world has completely been undermined. You look at the last 30-40 years of abortion rights, and there have been more babies killed in a few short decades than through all the wars in history.
Yep.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
Yep. 100%. It was the cost of liberation without asking whether or not that is actually the highest good.
Right.
So yeah, gave you guys something to think about. Let's get into some cake though, because
Indeed.
I did get requested. So this will be the last thing we do before we end it here.
Yep.
So okay, first we got this game called Ground Zero. It was all like the Master Go was doing. So if you want to blame anybody, blame him. We'll see. We'll see how these trailers probably are fine though. But let's take a look. Announcement, official announcement trailer. I like Resident Evil vibes.
PS2 retro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very, very Resident Evil. Even looks kind of like there.
Blade on her foot.
It's pretty fucking great. Thank you. Actually,
Wishlist now on Steam.
Yeah.
All right, that looks good. What do you guys think about that? Let me know. That was a demo. So is that not the game? All right. Next we got Echoes of the Living. Only because the automation hasn't been figured out yet. What? Oh, you guys are talking about something else. This is an early access trailer.
How does he get away with all this?
I won't give up. What are you doing here, Liam?
Just like another...
The Williams are full of madness.
Yeah, another sort of Resident Evil-ish game.
It's spooky season. Yeah.
It is spooky season.
Who's there?
Well, there's a demo for Ground Zero. I'll look it up. Check it out.
Octavia, where are you?
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Echoes of the Living. All right. And we got Tormented Souls. This is the last one.
Rated
a
M
new
for mature.
Nightmare trailer.
My name is Caroline Walker.
This is Tormented Souls 2.
I came to this town to find help for my little sister, Anna. She does this thing where she draws terrifying images and somehow they become real. But it was all a trap. And now they've taken Anna.
Caroline! Are you there? They have me locked up in this horrible place. Please, help me.
What happened here?
This damn place can bring out the darkness in our hearts. You have no idea how powerful it is.
Nice.
Yeah, that looks good too.
Yeah.
A lot of these kinds of games coming out. I guess there's like a demand for that.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now I got another super chat from Dean Domino 25. Thank you, Dean Domino, for $4.99. And he says, since we're doing cake, how about a gentleman's dispute and Megabonk? All right, let's look at Megabonk first. Let me share that real quick. This one I've been hearing a lot about, and it's another one of these little tiny games that's doing really well. I think it was made by like one guy too, and it's got a lot of memes in it. But let's watch this short trailer on it.
Right?
Now with 10% more bonk. Dude, I don't even know what that's about. It just looks insane.
In a good way.
We need
but yeah.
Vampire Survivors. What?
I say it looks insane in a good way.
Yeah. In a good way. Of course.
Yeah.
Like Grandpa High on Retro.
Indeed.
Okay. All right, last one. This is a gentleman's dispute. I feel like this is going to be great. I don't know why, just based on the title, but let's see.
Fisticuffs.
What are you
Right? It's got like a QWOP aesthetic to it if it were a death match. But it looks like it actually controls better, so
my goodness.
Unhinged. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely crazy and strange, and I love it. This is what video games are for. I don't see any representation. Everyone's white. It seems like a problem. I think there's a problem here. This
They're
isn't
even
gonna
whiter
work.
than I am, you know.
Yeah, they're like there's too much whiteness in this game.
That's right. Well, maybe hold on. Maybe they're albinos, so it qualifies.
That could be a lot of albino representation, which we need.
Right.
But
That's right.
I don't know, man. They look pretty. They're coated white. I'm white.
Right.
This white coated shit going on here with the top hats and the mustaches.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Let me see what you guys are saying really quick. But yeah, thank you for the recommendations. I'm gonna look up all of these actually.
Yeah, I might have one to bring for you
Megabonk,
next week.
Gentleman's Dispute.
Yeah, there's evidently that game that I had reported on well over a year ago now. Defect has some kind of big
Defect.
announcement.
Yeah. Every so often I look at the store page to see if anything's changed.
Yeah, they've got an announcement of some form happening later this week, so I will report.
Oh, that's
back when I
cool.
know more. Yep. 'Em. Yep. 'Em. 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 'Em.
paradoxical rebellion against rebellious paradox. He says both of these are what players expect from a game with a sandbox, but most sandbox games don't deliver. Yeah. Dean Domino says, been on a mega bonk binge. Calcium is my main. No idea. I don't know. See if there's a demo or something, but I got a lot going on my plate already. Let's see. That one looks neat. The Tormented. Okay. Skin color is just the average Scandinavian. Yeah, that's how white you guys are.
Right.
All right. Anyway, we got to wrap it up here. We've gone way over time, about a half hour. It's okay. Lindsay's here. I don't have to worry about picking her up right away. But I shouldn't stay here all day. So, let's see. Thank you. Will of the Fan says goon time. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to goon. Do it on your own time and in your. I don't want to know about it. Okay. But,
Will has become something of an AI bot whispering master. I will check to see if the games are still going, Will, and I'll join you in process here in a few minutes after we finish up. If you're still going.
Yeah. So, well, we're gonna wrap it up there, John. What do you got going on?
I might go pop over to Will of the Fans, see if they're still doing Jackbox games, and then I just have to watch a couple of episodes of Red Dwarf. We're doing an episode review tomorrow. We're in season 5. I think we might be finishing up, yeah, I think we're watching episodes 5 and 6 for tomorrow, doing the review for Time in Red Dwarf in Space. That'll be at 9 a.m. Eastern, and you can always see me over on Will's channel throughout the week on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays for Will of the Fans Live, or WTF Live, rather. And then for the random Jackbox game streams whenever they might happen, which I think might be one in process. Other than that, Toasty and I we'll be doing stream tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. She'll be cosplaying as Elvira, and I'm there with her throughout the week at that time on Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And of course, I'm here with you on the weekends with all the wonderful people who took time to spend with us today in the chat. And always great time here with these conversations, because I like to think we get a little bit more in depth than is able to be done on some of these larger panel shows. With that said, though, y'all safe travels ahead. Have a wonderful week going forward. Of course, be awesome as always.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me on the show. I hope that you learned something, or got some kind of enrichment out of it. I do believe that like talking about the culture war stuff matters, but it's also good to like bring in outside context so you guys can truly understand where all of this is actually coming from and how we can defeat it. So this is just what I try to do. I don't claim to be the expert, but I try to keep my ear to the ground and listen for anything that sounds like it could be of use, and then bring it in here. I'd like to get your thoughts on everything that I talked about on the show. I really appreciate you guys coming out. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, to the bell for notifications. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. And please, please, please share this video, because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of The Week in Culture, and we will talk to you guys in the next one. Long live Vicky.
With the glass ceiling broken, all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.
I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder about people being mean to other people, and maybe say it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe say we don't want you around if you're going to be a cunt.
Yeah.
And hateful. And that the games industry is diverse naturally. Not because anyone's making them be diverse. Because the world is diverse, you stupid motherfucker. And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically. Bitch.
Has anyone taken you up on that yet?
No, because they're all pussies.
Yep.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt. And you breathe that in, and you can constantly taste the salt.